right, it
I
is
was a good boy this time.
6:34. I'll call the meeting to order. Regular meeting of the Mount Holly Planning Commission, Tuesday, April 21st. First item on the agenda is changes to the agenda, and I think we have Ron would like to speak, I guess, on a potentially number of things, a couple of things. We'll add that to public comments number 8. I think I'll just slightly, I'll put it into 4C. I have some information from VLCT that I'll share that's pertinent to that. Anything else?
Just to clarify, what you're adding from my agenda items are modification of planning commission rules and procedures.
Well, you can discuss it.
Oh, okay, we're not going to specify now. I do have 2 items at least to add, right?
Say that again.
I'm sorry, you're not adding it as agenda. You're just saying, whatever I want to talk about will come under public comments. It's not going to be on the
I
agenda.
think, yeah, what you emailed was, I guess, 3 things.
Yeah.
We can't take action on them today, but you're welcome to discuss them.
Yeah.
Some of them I think are closed issues, but you can say what you want about it.
I'd like to ask why they didn't make it into the agenda.
Several reasons. One is the agenda was done by then, but also...
I mailed it on Friday.
I was away over the weekend, and I did ask John if he could send me the agenda early so that I could post it. Otherwise, it would only have been posted yesterday.
And so it's not automatic, right? So you don't get to just declare things on the agenda. So they have to sort of fit in with what we're doing. We have to have time. You can have the opportunity to discuss it today, but we're not going to be acting on it.
I know we can't act on it because it's not in the agenda.
Yeah.
I'm just questioning why. I believe the rules say that all the commissioners can add items to the agenda.
You can send requests to add to the agenda, but the agenda is within the purview of the chair, as per the rules. So
I'll check that out later. Thank you.
you can discuss the things that you want to discuss today. We're not going to restrict your speech, but we're not going to act on it. They're both of those things. One of those things I think is a closed issue, and the other is something that we ordinarily revise, every year. So there's plenty of opportunities to discuss it going forward. Anything else? Okay. With that, we'll move on. We have a set of minutes, actually 2, right? We have the hearing minutes and the regular meeting minutes.
Yes.
I sent those to everyone. You sent them to me, but I did forward them on to everybody.
Right. Sorry.
I don't have specific additions or corrections for the hearing minutes. I don't recall them offhand, but they seemed fairly complete to me. Does anybody have any additions, changes to either set of minutes?
I haven't read them. Didn't know you
I
sent
have
them.
one for the regular meeting.
When did you send them?
In advance of our
Was that
deliberation.
that email today?
No, last
This
one.
would have been
Whenever
2 weeks
we
ago.
deliberated, I can't remember, 2
All
weeks
right.
ago.
I don't remember getting them.
Well, let's table it then, so if we haven't reviewed it thoroughly. I think there's 2 changes I'd like for the minutes from the last meeting. Under 6D, I read a statement, not a resolution, just a clarification of the terminology.
Okay, I'm going to need a copy.
I'll just share with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can just have this
That's fine.
with the markups. And the last sentence, it says just Mr. Unterman was asked, or Commissioner Unterman was asked to report back, but it was the committee that was asked to report back.
Okay.
So that's it, that's all I have. Anything else?
Yes, if you look at, I'm going to say 6,
Oh, no, I
D.
can't. No, I can't. Can I have it back?
yeah, it talks as if I'm going to call it a committee that was put together. It seems to imply that they were going to be doing work. And my understanding is that they were just going to look for people to be on a committee.
Which sentence?
That's,
This is 6D what?
let me find it.
And we are going to clarify certain aspects of that today, so it's fine to change the minutes, but we'll We'll revise it.
Where is? I'm trying to find the exact sentence right now. Where was it that you said we're gonna start a group? Yeah. To identify 5 to 7 prospective members of the committee to bring the next meeting. I'm trying to find
remember
the
that part.
spot. No, I'm trying to find the spot where, when I read it, it looked as if it implied that that group, instead of looking for people, either this has changed or something's different.
I have a copy of the exact text I read. It was the first task was to look for other members.
Yeah,
Yeah, you may be right. You know, questions of what area a system would serve, where a system would be located, where land is available would be considered by the committee.
Which I think is a sort of
But-
future.
All right, I'll take it back, but when I had it online, and I don't have it now, it just seemed to imply.
We're gonna
Yeah.
really nail it down so there's no
Forget it.
ambiguity today. So all right, is there a motion for the minutes?
Yeah.
I move they be accepted.
Any second?
Second.
2 seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
yep.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, thank you. Now that's just for the regular meeting minutes. We've tabled the discussion of the hearing minutes until we can all further review them. All right. Faith, you have any reports? Updates?
Yes, building season has started. BCRs from Buckner on Shunpike Road for a kitchen, dining, bathroom renovation. Shapiro, Lake Nineveh Road, a 20 by 30 foot bunkhouse slash accessory dwelling unit, using the existing water supply and pending a revised wastewater permit. The school district have submitted a BCR for a 10 foot by 14 foot wooden frame building to be located on the school property to house the water treatment system that should be installed at some point, hopefully within the next few years.
Did they recently complete a easement for that too, or something?
They did, yes.
Okay, I don't know if that was part of your.
Cohen and Barlow on Gates Road, an 8 foot by 10 foot deck with an extended porch, extending the porch roof over the deck. And Procino, 13 foot by 28 foot garage, and I appear not to have written the location. I would be able to find that out if everybody is interested right now.
Anybody care about the specifics, or are we good? You can always ask later.
What's the name on it?
Procino, Procino.
I don't happen to know.
For a garage on what road?
That's the bit of information
That's
I didn't
the-
Oh,
write
that's what
down.
you didn't have, sorry.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But if you just hold on one
Okay.
second, I think.
And the ADU, was that on Belmont,
Lake Nineveh.
Lake Nineveh Road? Is that the one that was lifted? When they put the new foundation in? Is that that one?
Yeah, that was the garage is Barlow Road.
Barley.
What was the question about?
The ADU on Lake Nineveh Road, is that the one that they had the new foundation? They lifted the house? Is that that one?
I do not know.
I don't think so.
It's
No? Oh, okay.
858 Lake Nineveh Road. It's a 10-acre parcel.
Okay.
I think the house that was listed on a foundation at the corner of Overlook Lake and is a different property.
Okay, thanks. It is the keeping track of these ADUs is something we'll want to kind of make special note of because it's additional housing that we're
Yeah.
looking for.
Sorry, was there a
I was
question?
just gonna ask a question. They took down the garage next to the store.
Yeah.
Did they ever, I know they don't have to submit anything to take it down, but are they submitted anything to, if they're gonna build anything?
No. I think a year and a half ago I may have had a conversation. I had a conversation with Austin, who owns the property, who said he had some thoughts about redoing the garage somehow.
Okay.
And I assume that this is the first step,
All right.
but I haven't received the DCR. The other thing that has happened is via a member of a resident of town of Mount Holly was asked about the development on Sawyer Hill Road by Mr. Longobardo, which was a BCR which came to us in February. It was described as a garage, quite a large garage. And the person who submitted the inquiry asked if it was something that would be subject to Act 250. I have been in communication with Mr. Longobardo, who is a licensed producer of cannabis on a commercial scale, which is the function of the building. He has confirmed that he's working with the fire marshal to deal with all the related permits for a public building. He has not yet responded to me. He has not given a response to my question, which was to ask him if he has had any interaction with the Act 250 coordinator. I will get back to him again, but if he has not, I would consider it appropriate to ask for a jurisdictional opinion. The one issue that I'm unclear of is whether cannabis production is an agricultural. I mean, it seems like it might be an agricultural activity, but I'm not quite sure how.
Well, they're not growing on the site.
Sorry?
Not growing it on the site. It's not.
Yes,
they are.
yes, they are.
Oh, I don't know if we want to speculate as to the activities inside the building, but whether or not
Oh, I see.
it's
I
an
see what you're
exempted,
saying.
whether or not it's an exempted activity would certainly be in the domain of the jurisdictional opinion.
Yes. So I will try and speak to him again, but as I say, I think that if I can get no clarity from him, I would seek a jurisdictional opinion.
He's been responsive so far.
He was responsive initially, and then less so.
Okay.
But he did say that he wants to make sure he is compliant with all state and town rules and regulations.
That's a good start.
Yeah, because that could create a lot of problems if he's not.
And then I just wanted to...
So just one more
Sorry.
clarification. It's just production, not any retail.
the licenses for production.
Okay.
Sort of in passing, I wanted to note that I did get a visit from another town resident, Melody Bothers, who lives on Route 140, just next to the cemetery, who has received notification from the state that her entire property, apart from the house itself, has been declared a wetland, and she was interested to find out what she could do to ensure that the water which is running under the Route 103 through three culverts, was actually diverted away from her house, when a wetland designation means that no digging or other such activity can take place. I was not in a position to help her.
That was all done about 30 years ago.
The wetland designation itself was only made in August last year.
Yeah, but the work that you're speaking of
Yes.
was done about 30 years ago.
Yes.
maybe a little more.
So this designation, she got what, a letter? Or?
Well, unfortunately, she has been to see me before, and on the previous occasion, and again on this occasion, I asked her if she had any kind of documentation, but she was not able to produce that. But the mapping shows that
So what happened in August then?
it was designated wetland as part of the update of the Vermont State Wetlands Inventory. And I understand
So
that
which-
there had been some
okay.
interaction between.
Is it classified? Or is it just part of the advisory layer?
It is classified as, I believe, Class 2 wetland.
Okay, well that's significant if that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mention it partly because in the discussion that I had with Mr. Huck, we were looking at his property, which also has had a recent designation of wetland, which he was unaware of, and I understand that this is being done sort of somewhat remotely using technology such as GIS and satellite imagery and possibly drones. But I don't know if it's an issue which is going to come up more in the future.
So what notifications do people get about these changes? And how do we know that, like, is there
Well,
an actual change date that's somehow communicated or?
the
Effective
maps
date.
show when the designation was made,
Uh-huh.
which is how I know that the 140 property was designated in August of 2025. I didn't look for Mr. Huck's property, but
Okay,
he was not
interesting.
aware that this designation had been made.
Yeah, I'm curious about the mechanics of all this. Yeah.
I am too, John, only because with these wetland designations, it really limits a property owner's ability to do even like cutting your grass or having a garden or doing things. And so it's concerning if the state is arbitrarily just going through with like their light green marker and just marking stuff without an actual site visit, and then encumbering an owner to hire an engineer at probably a minimum of $1,000 to come out and do a delineation and then go through the process of trying to get your property out. I think it would probably behoove us to look at like how can we help people that are coming. Like if they come to us and say, like Mike is here, so he's like, hey, you know, like this isn't accurate. Like what are my steps? Like coming up with something we can give people and say that, you know, this is the process. But also, I don't know if it's appropriate to sort of call into question the state, you know, like essentially, you know,
Yeah.
making land unusable.
Without notifying the landowner seems
Yeah,
rather inappropriate.
I think I'd like to try to get a grasp on what the exact mechanisms are here and what the communication channels are so that we can plug into them. You know, regardless of what we decide to do, if anything about it, information is useful in itself. So
That's what I'm saying.
you can't do anything if you don't know, and that's the kind of thing we struggle with in general, is we're always reacting, and that stinks, and that's not good for anybody. It's the most expensive for landowners, it's the most expensive for the town.
Well, if we had information, then we could be proactive
Right,
in helping
right. So-
owners.
Let's try to figure that out.
Because I have a property in Ludlow, which is, there's a ton of light green on it. And the town's basically said like, it's worth nothing, but yeah, I'm getting taxed like it's worth something.
Yeah, so
So-
what I'll propose is that, Faith, would you like to join me in meeting with the wetland coordinator just to get information for our next meeting, and we can find out what the protocols are and report back to the board?
Yes.
Does that sound appropriate? Does that sound good to the rest of the board? Yep. Andy?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so let's try to do that. We'll get some more information and figure out what we're dealing with. Because if it's just a matter of, you know, something changed randomly on the GIS layer, that we're gonna have to figure out a better signal for that.
Well, you got the Bothers house, there's been probably 30 years it's been.
Well, there's a couple
And,
layers to this, right?
You know, so
It could have been something
all
that
of a
was,
sudden,
but it could have been, you know, we don't know. It could have been they just finally got around to updating it. They may have made a designation years ago. That sometimes does occur, but let's try to get to the bottom of it so that we can get ahead of it.
Yeah,
So-
they can tell you the procedures,
Yeah.
how they determine it, and how they notify the owner.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's
If there's
critical
any-
if they don't notify the owner, I mean,
Yeah.
you're screwing them over.
So
without-
we'll ask them that. We'll ask them what the procedures are, what notice, if any, is given, what opportunities the town has for any input, and what the appeal rights are, or what are the follow. And it's probably, like you said, it's probably engineering. Prove it. It's not, or something.
it's-
But yeah, we'll find it out, and
But
then
on the
we'll come
town
back.
plan, we also already have wetlands delineated.
Well, that's all from the GIS layer at the time of the map creation. But yeah, so we'll. It's a good thing. Let's figure it out.
Because I'd heard somebody in East Wallingford got a ticket for mowing their lawn, which they didn't even realize
Yeah,
was a wetland.
And that's my point.
yeah. All right, we'll come back with more.
Excuse me, that's the Melanie Bothers he's
Yeah,
talking about. She
that's-
came to me last August, September, and the culvert on the 103, the couple culverts, have additionally more dirt has come in and
Yeah.
filled it in, so the ditch is no longer there that diverted it away from her lawn. It's filled in so that you created the whole area, and they don't want her mowing anymore where she is. So Melanie is the one you're talking about, and, but you're gonna look into it
Well,
anyway.
one of them culverts you speak of, Dennis, is actually a kill pass.
Yeah, I know, very familiar when it was put in. The Bowen family.
You were probably about that high when that was put in.
Bowen family.
All right, don't get him
Cows across
started.
the road When they changed 103.
I'm sure there's a really cool history to it. We'll have to address another time, but we'll get some information. Anything else on your reports?
No, that was it.
Okay, I just had two quick things. Made some changes to the website that you may have seen. I made a place for us to put decisions, which I think is an important thing. We haven't had a chance to do that, to have our decisions be publicly available for subdivision. So there's a page for that now. They're not actually linked yet. Faith's been pretty busy. I haven't bothered to ask yet, but I might do
You
it
need
too.
to tell me where you've moved them to in the.
It's
Google
linked to the.
Drive.
So the other thing is on the Google Drive. We put them all in one place too, so it's more consistent. That's in the. I forget offhand. I'll show it to you. But we just need to link them to the web page, and I think just the decision and the plat probably is enough. The plat's slightly complicated because we don't have signed copies digitally yet. I know Carol's been looking into that. The other thing is, let's see, what is it? I sent around just very recent, like in the last hour or two, a video link to the last training from the Regional Planning Commission. There's a set of 3, I can't remember what they called it, land use essentials training classes, and the first one happened in the last couple of weeks, and there's now a video of it, so you should see that in your inbox. And I think that's it. The rest of the stuff we can address in other agenda items. I've had conversations with VLCT on 2 matters that'll come up later. Were there any other emails that I didn't catch, Faith, that you think of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and we'll already actually, no, I should probably, no, we will talk about it in the Act 181. I sent an email around about it. The regional plan final hearing is what, May 19th? Wait a minute here. Yeah, May 19th. And we'll discuss in that agenda item what the Regional Planning Commission has distributed to us. All right. So next item is the committee. And so just to really, I don't know, beat a dead horse, we're going to make this as explicit as we can, just so that everybody's on the same page and everything else. So I wrote it all down so I don't make any mistakes. Hopefully. Still will, probably. At last month's meeting, pursuant to the Planning Commission's Rules of Procedure, I established the Belmont Village Wastewater Planning Committee as an advisory committee of the Commission. To ensure the record is clear, I want to clarify and confirm the following. The Belmont Village Wastewater Planning Committee is an advisory committee of the Planning Commission established for the purpose of investigating and making recommendations concerning the feasibility, planning, funding, and potential implementation of a community-scale wastewater system for Belmont Village. Its work is intended to investigate issues relevant to the housing and planning objectives identified in the town plan and the housing needs assessment and action plan. As the Belmont Village Plan, incorporated by reference into the town plan, states, the town should investigate the feasibility of a shared community septic system. And the housing needs assessment and action plan identifies as a priority action, conduct neighborhood scale wastewater pre-feasibility studies for Belmont Village. And I'll give you a copy of this for you. So, in response to the urgency of local housing affordability problems and their effect on property taxes, the town's recent planning documents urge action now, and this committee is intended to help advance that work through a public process. The committee was established with 3 initial members, Jeff Chase, Faith Tempest, and Commissioner Ron Unterman. Jeff Chase has agreed to serve as chair of the committee. The committee's initial work...
Can we interrupt or you wanted to finish it first?
I'll finish.
Okay.
All right.
The committee's initial work shall include public engagement and stakeholder outreach, collection and an organization of relevant data and background materials, review of existing planning documents and infrastructure constraints, identification of key questions, opportunities, and information gaps, consultation and coordination, as appropriate, with relevant state, regional, and local entities, and the solicitation of relevant technical input, including testimony or informational presentations from engineers, regulators, and others with direct knowledge of wastewater conditions, constraints, and prior infrastructure work in Belmont Village. As an initial organizational task, the committee shall develop a proposed list of additional community members for Planning Commission consideration at a future meeting. Like that one over there, maybe. Let's see. In developing that proposed slate, the committee shall seek a mix of relevant perspectives and capabilities, including as appropriate knowledge of Belmont Village conditions, housing needs, local businesses, infrastructure constraints, wastewater or engineering issues, public finance or grants, and community engagement. Members should be willing to approach the work with an open mind, participate constructively, and follow the public process in good faith. For the avoidance of doubt, the committee's charge is not limited to existing homes only. It includes investigation and recommendations concerning the feasibility, planning, funding, and potential implementation of a community-scale wastewater system for the village generally. That inquiry may require consideration not only of existing homes and future housing, but also of existing village uses, including the village store, where wastewater limitations may affect continued viability. Establishing this committee is intended in part to support a serious public effort to address infrastructure constraints that may be impeding infill housing, accessory dwelling units, and other housing opportunities, including senior housing, in Belmont Village, and the long-term viability of the store. It would be premature and improper to narrow that inquiry at the outset. I also want to be clear about my expectations for the committee's work. Committee members are expected to approach this assignment with an open mind, do the work carefully and in good faith, and conduct themselves with integrity. The committee is being asked to investigate the question, develop a factual record, hear from stakeholders, and make recommendations to the Planning Commission through the public process. It is not being asked to prejudge the outcome or to advocate a fixed position from the outset. The committee functions in advisory capacity only. It is not authorized to take action on its own. Its meetings are open to the public, and its work product is to be reported back to the Planning Commission at duly noticed meetings and included in the meeting record as appropriate. So I have one other part to this, but I'll stop there for a minute, and just to see if there's if it's clear what's being said, if there's any questions.
Yeah, I have one, at least one. You said it was established with 3 members.
And whether or not there's any ambiguity in that, it is now.
Okay, but let's correct the record. It was not established with 3 members. Jeff asked
You
the
may
question.
disagree with that.
Excuse me, I have quotes. We can play the video, John.
so
That's
you-
where I had the issue.
So the
where I
issue
couldn't
was
find it in
stated.
the minutes, and where the impression was that the 3 members were to look.
The
for
3 members,
people-
that's right.
3 members
Of the
were to
committee.
look for
I really don't
people
wanna
who
argue
were
this.
interested in becoming part of a committee to do what you just read.
The 3 initial members would have a committee meeting and report back. You don't have meetings without members, right? So the first task of the committee, which we agreed in the minutes that we just, adopted,
Right,
the first task of the committee was to find new members.
right, but.
And this
is
isn't
that
really
all
something
of
that we're going to
but-
debate because I've just resolved any ambiguity around the
Oh,
membership.
But that's where I had the
Is
problem
this an
with the minutes.
autocracy? What does that mean?
It means that the committee is established as I've just read.
Well, let's correct the record.
That's not what they were
John,
told.
Jeff asked the question. I have the quotes. I mailed you the quotes. He said this is not a committee, and you said that's right. There aren't no members of the committee, and you said yes, it's a committee. It
So,
has no members.
Are there questions about what I just read?
No, I'm trying to correct the record of what
That's
you
not
just
what
read.
we're doing right now.
Why not?
Because I'm establishing this as the record of the committee.
But
We're
you
setting
just,
out the-
but you just said
we're
that 2
establishing
people
the
from last month are now on the committee, when, as
right.
far as I knew, they were on the committee to find people to create a committee.
I'm resolving that
not-
ambiguity.
And you're assigning us to the committee?
You all agreed to be on the committee.
No.
If you do not wish to be on the committee, you should state that on the
No,
record
but let's
now.
correct the record. We did not agree to be on. Jeff specifically asked the question, and you answered it. I have it in the quotes. We can play the tape, the videos.
I seem to
There were no
recall-
members on the committee. John,
I don't agree with that.
Right, well, if that's how it was also phrased at the select board meeting.
What's that?
It was also phrased the same way at the select board meeting.
By whom?
I'm thinking it was me. 'cause
I wasn't there. In my
I
report
was
to the
there.
select board, I identified the 3 initial members of the committee.
And when they were talking
No.
about it, didn't we say that they were, that's what
I'm not
my impression, they
understanding
were
the issue here.
created just to find members to create a committee. And I believe that's what I said at the select board.
My understanding of what happened at the last meeting was that 3
I know
members
we
of the
debated
committee were
this at the last
identified
meeting.
for the purpose of finding, excuse me,
Go ahead, Andy.
should I continue?
Yes,
Someone else
please.
speaking? I can-
Please continue.
My recollection of what happened at the last meeting, that a committee was established and charged with its first task of finding additional members. So, from my perspective, there was a committee established at that
And we
meeting.
just adopted minutes that said the committee's first task was to find additional members.
Didn't define who the members of that committee are in those minutes.
The committee.
But
Okay,
I had
that's
questioned,
right,
I
you
just
did.
couldn't find the problem where I had,
I
at the
just can't find
time.
my quotes.
I know we debated it, and there was definitely a big discussion around whether it was formed or not. I left here thinking it was formed, and that we were on it, and we were supposed to meet up and then also try to find members, other committee members.
A committee can't act without members. If a committee has
I don't know.
tasks,
I don't-
it must have members.
But I do remember confusion,
Don, I'm sorry, good.
no, that's it. I do remember confusion, but I took away at the end of it that us 3 were doing it, and we had to decide.
What was it? We can listen to the tapes again, John. I can't find my quotes.
We have just adopted minutes as the official record of our last meeting that say the committee's first task is to find additional members.
Well, where we had it last, we formed a committee, and then you asked 3 of us, not as part of the committee, to go see if you could. All right, John.
You're telling me what I said and what I meant to say. It's
Well,
very
John,
insulting.
we can play the video, John. I can't find my notes. Jeff asked a
If
specific
there's any
question.
ambiguity, I have resolved that now, have I not?
Okay, you have. That's how
you.
That's how our commission works.
That is our rules to establish committees this way.
That the
What's the
chairman will
problem?
establish committees. Yes, that is our rule.
That has been our rule for a decade. So
All
I
I'm
understand that
saying
you
is
don't agree with that, but that's the rule and it has been for a long time. Andy, did you have something to say?
I don't understand honestly what the dispute is at this point. There are 3 members appointed to find additional members. I don't understand how those members could not constitute a committee, even if there were additional members to be added to it. I mean, what are you if you're not a committee? Just, and the 3 of you agreed to be on it. So it's, to me, I just don't understand how there could even be a question about what happened at the meeting.
Well, we can watch the video. It's clear we did not agree. Jeff asked the question, and John specifically said there are no members of the committee yet. The goal is to go find the members of the committee.
Other members. You can.
No,
you
the
can
word
take-
other isn't in there, John.
Well, I'm clarifying it now.
Oh. Well, he's saying something else.
That's where
Jeff, do you want to jump in? Jeff is the chair of the committee.
But that's where I,
That's fine. I just, I don't like being misrepresented. That's
Wait,
why.
who's being misrepresented?
You're misrepresenting what my role was in that committee. And then you send, I'll stop there.
no, but that's also why I was questioning the minutes, because I was under the distinct impression that it was a group created to, I'm gonna call it, create a committee by finding members.
We didn't create a committee to make a committee. No.
I didn't say it was, well, you did say it was a committee, but I just thought it was a group brought together to find members to create a committee to investigate wastewater system at Belmont Village.
Okay.
Not that they were the committee to do what you just read.
What do you think, Jim?
You don't want the answer,
I'm not sure.
No?
I don't know if this is
because the 3 members were put there to find members to form a committee.
Right. Of the rest of the committee.
No, you
No,
stated the
to
word.
find a committee.
No, you don't have a
Form a
committee.
committee.
So you said there's 2 committees. There wasn't 2 committees. There's
No,
one
there
committee.
wasn't.
It was just the way I looked at it, you may have called it a committee, I
Well,
looked at it as a working group.
If there was any ambiguity then, and I don't think there was, and
Oh,
I
there was.
hear that there was.
There was.
Is there ambiguity now? Have I resolved the ambiguity sufficiently?
I would like to look at the
I'm
minutes.
asking
and-
Stephen
you-
right now.
won't answer. I'll read the
With
minutes.
that, yeah. But I'm not sure the members that were put on may want to do what you asked. What you
Let's just
defined.
be clear, everyone did agree last month to do the task.
Not those specific tasks. That's why I was questioning the minutes. Because that was,
You know,
I was under, like I'm repeating myself,
Yeah.
but I was under
Oh, the question is now, is there ambiguity remaining? And I would be happy to try to resolve it. I'm trying to do the best I
But,
can to make this as clear
the
as
And
possible.
what you just read took away the ambiguity.
Okay.
But please, don't go back and say that because last month we created it, because that's why I was questioning the minutes. I just couldn't figure out where I had gotten it until I started reading the
Okay.
whole section. And I realized that that's where the confusion was coming in, not a specific sentence.
We don't have there's no more confusion in your mind. Is that what you're saying? This has resolved the confusion around that.
Not really. I'll read for the minutes. You said it's in the minutes.
No, the question is whether I have resolved any ambiguity about the existence, the membership, and the charge of the committee.
Going forward from today,
Right now.
correct.
That's
But
fine.
not last month.
Fine. We're looking to the future here. I'm not looking to revisit the past.
But let's all
Jeff,
speak.
how about you? Does it resolve the uncertainty
I don't
around?
know if I'll be able to do all the tasks that are listed in your excerpt, but we'll do our best.
It's expansive.
Yeah.
It's so that somebody doesn't say that you didn't mention such and such. So
Doing the best
yeah.
is all we can do.
Yep.
I would like to read the minutes. Commissioner, the chair read a resolution to establish the committee and requested Commissioner Unterman and Faith Tempest to identify 5 to 7 prospective
Right.
members for a committee to bring to the next meeting. They're two separate.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking.
I know you are. I just want to
Okay.
correct the record
Okay.
that the three
You
of
don't
us.
have to correct the record at all.
Okay.
All right, so
Now-
the next,
Well, the next part was, I think you assigned. Now,
no, I have something else to read. That's the next thing.
I have also one other part before you, the part you read. You said that the report said that
What report?
the assessment should, a priority was to identify a wastewater treatment.
No, that's, I mean,
The report
I read
says,
what I read, so the next thing I need to read.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, we're not going to
send us
debate
copies.
every freaking word. So here's what I have to read. I also want to clarify how the open meeting law applies to this committee, to email communications with the commission generally, and to the distribution of meeting materials. I spoke on the phone with VLCT today, and based on the guidance I received from the senior staff attorney, because this is a planning commission advisory committee, discussion of committee business on the merits must occur at duly noticed public meetings, with minutes kept rather than by email. Email that may be used for limited administrative purposes such as scheduling, agenda organization, and neutral transmittal of materials, but substantive discussion and analysis must occur in public. Official committee materials and reports are not created simply by labeling an email as materials. Personal opinions, analysis, and substantive commentary by an individual member remain just that. They are not an official committee report, do not represent the views of the committee, its chair, or the planning commission, and are not exempt from the open meeting law on that basis. Any materials circulated by email for a committee meeting must also be made available to the public and to the full planning commission. Going forward, discussion of committee business on the merits must occur at duly noticed public meetings. And there are some very good reasons for this, for open meeting law adherence. But also I think a subtler point is that transparency in town government is essential to the legitimacy of the outcome. This is something that has pretty significant implications for the town in terms of its housing, its affordability, and our future. And we need to make sure that both in terms of the actual and apparent conduct of this commission and the committees that fall under it, we strive for a high standard of fairness and transparency. So that's it. Is there any questions about the open meeting law?
Question that you, when you, a day or so ago, you circulated materials to be discussed at this meeting, right? That's part of the function. Before we meet, we often get a lot of materials. That's okay to transmit those types of materials, whatever their content is, just, right?
Yep. In terms of distributing materials relevant to the agenda and the agenda itself, that is permissible exception to the open meeting law.
Okay. I'll let it go with that. Back to your statement, you said that the assessment, one of its priorities was to form to assess community wastewater for Belmont Village. On page 1 of the action plans, it says pre-feasibility study for Belmont Village, Mount Holly Hamlet, or the municipal center. So I don't think the focus is strictly on Belmont Village, as I...
It is for this committee. So you're
Well-
welcome to bring that up in the committee meeting. That there should
Okay.
be other, it's a totally valid thing to say that there should be other studies done. But it is true that that says that it should be done for Belmont. Right? You just read it.
Yeah, or, okay.
Right.
I do have a
Now we-
question though.
Okay.
How come that was not part of the materials that were sent out prior to, for us to have read or understood?
What material?
What you just read.
What do you mean?
why wasn't that part of
I just
the
wrote it.
package? Why wasn't that part of the package? We received a document of items to be discussed at this meeting.
Yeah.
From listening to you, I probably don't have a problem, but I would have liked to have read it and had a chance to think about it before the meeting. We were sent like 8 or 10 items, PDFs, that going through on Act 181 at 3 different towns on their, I'm going to call it construction registration form system, on the minutes, on a number of other topics. Obviously, this is being read in. Having listened to it, I'm fine, but I would have preferred to have gotten it prior to the meeting so that I could at least try to read it and understand it.
Certainly do that whenever there's any expectation that there would be.
It would have been polite.
I didn't have it yet. It took a while. My conversation with VLCT.
All he's saying is he'd like next time to see that. I mean, it's a rather lengthy statement.
Yeah.
So I think you can.
Whenever
I
possible.
think it's a reasonable request.
Whenever possible, I do that. The conversation with VLC, they got back to me at like 4 o'clock today.
I don't think he means the VLC comments.
All of this was informed by the discussion. Every word in here was revised.
Going back to, I got a question on the committee.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about the committee. When it comes to like sharing information prior, whether it's like, hey, this town's doing this, check this out, is that can be shared? I guess that's a question.
Question.
Can that be shared
And what?
to the committee?
To the committee, distributing materials to discuss at the meeting.
Not discuss, but just share. I'm asking, can that be shared? What does it need to be? If it's not discussed, is it okay?
Yes. So when
That was-
I
that was-
initially shared with you and Ronnie the survey and what was the other thing I shared?
I think it was most of this. Oh, there
There were
was
two things that I
There was
shared.
something.
I just shared and said
Yeah.
these are the things that we talked about, pieces of information that we had discussed
Yeah.
in the planning
This
commission
meeting,
meeting.
yeah.
And then when it comes to the committee, we just can't discuss via
Yeah.
email, but we can share information.
Yes.
Well, that's next.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I on the right. So I took what you sent
Yes.
and reviewed it for possible people and with the interest of stakeholders, and I summarized it and I sent it back to you. Is that not allowed?
I reviewed that very specific case with VLCT, and they were very clear that that was not permissible because it's your analysis, your conclusions, your statements, and the spirit of open meeting law is one of the public should have an opportunity to see the process, and to the extent that materials are distributed and shared, and certainly the stuff like the existing data is all been presented it's all available to the public already. That would be something that would be appropriate to make available for the public to consume before the committee meeting. But it's just, we want this to be as transparent as possible, and that is because that increases the legitimacy of the process. Did you have a question?
Yeah, as a member of a group, a working group or committee, Jeff is sharing information with the commission, right?
Yeah, not information generated, but factual
So
information.
it needs to be brought up at this planning commission meeting. If he's sharing information, but that should be discussed in public for sure. And so that's what I'd like to see, the stuff coming to the commission to be shared. So, my committee worked on the open meeting law, all the changes you're dealing with, I was involved with, and I'm not hearing anything that shocks me.
Right.
And stuff, so I'm certainly sharing things, but.
Sharing it ahead of time?
Sharing it ahead of time is fine,
Okay.
but having more discussions and making decisions about things need to be done at the hearing, at the
Yeah.
meeting.
And it's a simple fairness issue. So Dennis is not on the committee yet, and he's not on the planning commission. But if he's interested in the issue, he should have equal rights to visibility into the proceedings as
Otherwise, I
anybody
wouldn't
else.
know,
Okay.
You know, if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had come tonight,
Then,
you know.
to clarify, we received 8 PDFs on, I'm going to call it background information on items to be discussed this evening. For example, there's an FAQ on Act 181. There's a number of, there's the Rutland, Heartland, where's the other one? Whatever, there's another 3 of them on the, I'm going to call it construction registration forms. It's called something else in this thing.
Road construction jurisdiction guidance draft.
And everything is on the agenda pretty much.
It's on, but this is all background information. Should that have been shared via the website prior to the
It's
meeting
all in
for
the
the public
public.
to look at?
It is all in the public drive, but I don't think we have a place to put on the website yet. But we could have the packet just.
I'm
published
just
on the
asking,
agenda.
because it's the same thing that I was saying about what you just read.
The
was
same
re-
thing.
it
No,
was-
it's all. There's no debate that all of the information that I distribute for a meeting is that the public is.
So just to
Becomes
answer
hard.
Jeff's question,
Hard part.
as long as you make it, if there's a website or some public site for the committee, as long as you post any, I'm going to call
there
it
is-
background information or.
There is a
in-
Google Drive, which
But
Publicly
That's
open
what I'm
Google,
telling
yeah, the publicly open Google Drive. We
Yeah.
probably could do, modulo our administrative overhead. We could do more with posting all of the packet to the website, but
because
it there's no-
Well, I'm just asking if that would have
Yeah, a
been
little bit.
required.
volunteer
it's
organization.
all of the data
I know.
that I distribute is all in the public by its nature. It's all on the Google Drive. Anybody who specifically, I think there's a provision in the law that anybody specifically asks for that stuff, we could give them advance notice of it, but yeah.
Well, I think I agree with Dennis. I mean, if you're trying to get a group together and, if people are working, I mean, you have to have some leeway to
Communicate.
deduct information, share thoughts electronically, then formulate those thoughts, then bring it to be public record. I mean, I think if you try to micromanage every little communication between people who are trying to gather information, like Jeff said, you've got people here that are working jobs, volunteering, and if you're trying to create like this, I think as long as the outcome and the information that you sort of deduct ends up in the formal meeting, that should satisfy.
And no decisions are being made.
No decisions, you're just sharing,
Right.
you're taking a survey and you're analyzing and saying, hey, these are the people that really, let's reach out to
Yeah,
this group.
there's a line,
There's gonna say
the analysis is not permitted.
So we really
Right.
like to see 2 commissioners with 5 on the board, 2 commissioners having conversations. Not in public, not open meeting law. That's one reason I supported moving to 5 selectmen.
Right.
So 2 selectmen could talk to each other. I saw 2 of them in Hannaford one time. I had to separate them into a different aisle to have a conversation with them because they couldn't be part of this conversation with me.
That's exactly
And-
right.
and-
So Jeff and Ron could have discussions,
Yeah.
and then they could bring that discussion up to the rest of the
But any of
committee.
you could also have discussions, as long as you make the decision, talk about it at your
Well,
meeting.
When, let's say, just caveat that by saying when there's more than 3, right? Once we have more than 3 on the membership.
Which I'm-
Right now, it's problematic because the committee only
I'm
has
on
3.
your side right now.
Yeah, well, that's the only reason I asked. I really didn't want it.
I'd like to hear from Faith. She's at the center of a lot of this, so.
Well, just in terms of the point that you just made, Lisa, so the way that I understand it should work, I had shared this survey. Ronnie did some useful analysis, but he then shared that analysis with Jeff and me and gave
We're
some,
also on the committee.
yeah, the 3 of us on the committee, and made commentary about it and drew some conclusions. My understanding of how it would need to work under the sometimes onerous demands of open meeting law, but they're there for a reason, it would be that Ronnie should have done his analysis and brought it to the meeting a publicly warned meeting, and then we would discuss it, and we could say, well, that's great and that's helpful, and we are going to use this information in this way, and we're going to act on it in that way. And it's unfortunately it's a slightly, as I believe has been said, it's a bit of a fine line between thank you for sending me that survey, that looks really interesting, I'll have a look at it and bring my thoughts to the next meeting, and acting on it and sharing it.
It's a good discussion, like, 'cause it is a fine line, that was a fine line instance, and like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also to
good
be clear,
discussion
I
to
agree.
understand the parameters.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Faith said, and to be clear on what my tensions are here with everything that I've said, is nobody's being blamed for anything. This is all sort of nuanced. This is new to many people, and it's just about setting the expectations. And it's my role as chair to ensure compliance,
And
as it's Mark's role on the select board to ensure compliance of everybody on that board. So
especially with this being a hotter topic, I think, because it became a hot topic at the select board. So,
and there will be
There's
people
more
who
reason to
will jump on any opportunity to say there's backdoor discussions happening,
Yeah.
and I don't think that'll serve anybody. And that's the idea. It's just basic fairness. So okay.
And just to clarify, the only reason I brought the background information was to get clarification from Dennis as to where that line is with this kind of information. I have no problem with it because it was just sent and we had to read it and there was no discussion. And that's what I would have thought within the three of you with Ron's analysis. There was no discussion, so it was just FYI for your information. And when we ever create a committee to meet, we can then discuss it.
Or if it's on the
Is that
it's on the
correct?
agenda.
Huh?
Or if it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
So we've resolved that so that in the specific case, the line was crossed in terms of the providing more than just pointing to. Faith pointed to the survey, but it's from there was additional discussion and analysis done that needs to be done in public. So
There was analysis done. Analysis, not discussion. I never talked to them.
you communicated your point of view and your conclusions and defended them, and that's the part that we need to make sure that we don't
That's
trip up
the line that we're speaking of. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like where does the line cross between summary and analysis, kind of.
Yeah.
Just to finish up what you were doing, I'm sorry, go ahead, Andy.
I was just gonna say, it's been referred to as a fine line, but I would prefer to call it a blurry line. It's difficult, and I think at various times we've all been guilty of slipping over the line. It's not a easy rule to follow, and it's easy in our zeal to get work done to cross it without thinking about it. We just need to try and not do that.
Just be clear that what you read about the new revised, well, not revised, whatever the mission statement, however, was my name in that. I will agree with him, by the way. I can't agree to anything that was read to me 2 pages. So is my name in that statement you read?
You're identified as a member of the committee.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Or you're
You're not responsible for every one of those items. I mean, that's the request, whether we nail every item on there or like this is.
Yeah,
this
the committee
is
gets to
I
decide
don't-
what they do.
Does-
If I was did everything I was asked of, like,
Does the chairman get to choose who's on the committee? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I may ask the board to confirm the committee members at the next meeting. But according to our rules, that's how it works. But
Ron, do you feel that you're part of a working group? The 3-member working group at this point, or
No,
part of a committee? Or?
no.
you do not want to be part of the committee.
I never was part of the committee, and I resent. I'm part of a planning commission. I joined a planning commission. I didn't join a planning commissioner who has 4 people who works for him. You unilaterally made a decision.
Ron,
The last meeting.
No. So we have rules of
Yes.
procedure. So the insinuation that I'm acting without authority is, first of all, it's false.
I didn't say without authority. I said unilaterally. I didn't say without
So,
authority.
No, because of what the rules do. The rule was adopted unanimously, and it confers authority.
That's
So it
right.
is not fair to say or imply that I'm doing something improper. This is how we've operated for, I think, at least a decade, from my estimation. We do not have many committees. I do not expect we will have another committee this year. You are free to decline the participation in the committee. I think that would be a disappointment, particularly to, I think, some of the causes that you've previously advocated for. But I would strongly recommend you reconsider if you are in fact declining the opportunity. But you're free to do that.
Just to be clear, I was not accusing you of doing anything untoward. The rules are clear. You can form a committee. That's
Well,
clear.
I think some
And
of
I
the
said-
things you've said in the select
I
board
said
meeting
you don't.
kind of crossed the
You
line.
mean we went back to the select board meeting?
Well, I'm saying
John,
you
tell
said
me
I
about
did.
what you just
Okay,
said.
go on.
I'm basically I'm just saying you unilaterally. That just means you alone made the decision, which you have the right to do, that we should have a Belmont Village wastewater committee. You made that decision. The Planning Commission did not. So that's the point I'm making. So
You said that you don't work for me, and of course you don't.
I think he's just saying, and
Do you-
would-
I mean,
would
am I not
urge
hearing what
you
he just
as the
said?
chair to move the agenda along, just because
Yeah.
of the people in the audience.
Yeah.
Are getting
I think-
frustrated.
to answer your
Continue.
question, I decline until I understand further.
I think the
decline
issue
it.
is not necessarily with the committee, but just the way the rules are written and how the committee was started, and it's just, I think, let that sink in. If we need to come back to it, maybe it can come back to it, but might be best to just move along, because I don't think we're gonna get to the bottom of.
We got a ways to go still
Yeah.
on this agenda. You have a point.
Okay, moving on. The Kelly final plat is here.
Just
And we
interrupt, point of order, are we gonna discuss anything on that item C? Report, are you interested in a report of, did we find any,
I did do all of C. The committee hasn't met, there's no report, and I did the clarification and restatement, so we're done with C.
okay, you don't wanna know if anybody's interested in being on the committee? What we were charged with, at the last meeting, okay.
So I've heard Jeff confirm, you can do it on the record, might be better, confirm that you'll be you'll serve as chair of the committee.
I'm okay with being chair, yes.
Okay. Faith has agreed off the record, but I'd like her to do it on the record that she's willing to serve on the committee.
Yes.
And I've asked you to serve on the committee and you have declined.
Right.
Okay.
But would you like to know that I have someone else who wants to be on the committee? I mean, I thought we're supposed to come back and report,
For sure, I would like to know if I have any, can we
Right.
just move on?
and also would like to know that,
So Jeff wants to move on, is what he said.
No.
So,
Put it out there.
Oh, put it
Is
out
it more
there?
than one person, or is it just one person?
one person, an important person.
You were looking for more people, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
Kevin
That's
Holoby
right,
has
Ron.
agreed.
okay.
I asked Kevin Holoby, he agreed. I did what I was asked to do. I also analyzed that report. You don't want to hear about the analysis of that, of the residents, the stakeholders? And are any of them interested? All right.
no, the first order, we'll sort of go back very briefly. The first order of business for the committee is to come up with the list. So we're not going to do that tonight. So we need to find somebody else to serve in Ron's stead. All right, are we moving on? Jeff, are you good?
I'm good, just don't get along, please. That's all I ask. For the greater good of everybody in the room.
Lisa, you're on.
I'm on, what am I doing?
We have your plat. I need the commission to tell me if I'm authorized to sign it. So we had a couple of changes that were requested. I think principally the contour.
They had a glitch with the printer, so the blocks of the numbers were black. So you could sign it. And then it was also like a different color. And when I asked the engineer about it, he goes, this is the way they're always, like the PDFs are in color, but when you go to print them, this is the standard color.
Okay.
But
Andy, are
it
you
should
able
be
to
all
see?
correct now.
You can certainly
hand
read
deliver it.
the elevation
Yeah.
data.
And you got a different printer.
I'm listening to the description.
I see contour interval numbers, so that's good. The commission will note that there's not the colors that were on the PDF for the reasons Lisa stated. Was there anything else, Faith, that we said?
No, the other issue had been the fact that the paper copy had not been signed, but at the last meeting it was agreed that that was fine.
Yeah.
So,
we didn't have 2 things, but then we were plus 1 thing.
yeah.
It was signed,
That's good.
which was an oversight, and
So, what do you think? Looks good?
Can Andy see it?
Andy, are you able to see it? Can we zoom in somehow?
Yeah, I see it. Yep, he zoomed
Okay.
in, I can see it.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Unless there is, I'll do it this way. Unless there is any objection, I will sign the plat as soon as I can after the meeting.
oh,
We
Any
can't.
objection?
No.
Andy?
Done here.
Okay.
No.
Jim?
Yep.
Looks
I
good.
want you to
Okay.
sign it, I can come tomorrow and record it with Carol.
Carol won't be.
I won't be back until Tuesday, Lisa.
Okay. Somebody will be here.
They won't be able to record it, but you can leave it,
Okay.
okay?
It'll be ready.
Another week, great.
Monday.
It's all,
You
it's all
can't win,
arbitrary.
you can't win.
I cannot, it's,
All right.
Lisa, when have I never,
Do we have anything on
ever
boiler?
Nothing,
right?
mess with you.
I can give a brief update.
Okay, can you give an update on boiler?
And
so it's all set?
yeah.
It will be as soon as I sign it.
Okay,
I'll do that after the meeting.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hold the feedback on you.
On the McDonald division, as it's been posted, I did speak to Mr. McDonald, and he is going to come into the town office to complete the subdivision application, because what he sent me was not complete and it was not helpful to have a discussion on the phone. He has also, through Jason Burt, sent a survey, but I did have a question. The way that the survey is presented is a map of a boundary line adjustment, and my understanding is that you as the planning commission have not yet decided if this is a boundary line adjustment or a subdivision.
Well, it's sort of a name, well, I can't cover that up.
And before meeting with Mr. McDonald, I'd like to know if I need to ask him to go back to the surveyor to make an adjustment.
Well, it's sort of, in my opinion, irrelevant somewhat in terms of how it's titled. What it's a substance over form kind of thing, right? Where it's the effect of the division that we're reviewing. I think, relevant to something else that we'll talk about under subdivision issues is whether or not at least part of this even needs to be approved by us. So I distributed the information from VLCT, which may need some explanation about merged lots. So based on what was presented to us, it looks like at least one of these divisions is already represented in the deed. So the deed for at least part of this property specifies 2 lots, 2 parcels. And I think, and this is something we could, address in a hearing or whatever, or have testimony about. But it's possible that no approval needs to be obtained for at least part of this proposal. The rest of it is a division in the broad sense. Whether we call it boundary line or subdivision is somewhat irrelevant. It is what it is. It's a division on a map. So that's, something that, you could probably communicate to them. But what are we, so besides the naming issue, is there something else that we are waiting on them for? Or just formal completion of the application?
A correct completing of the application, but that slightly depends. The application is for a subdivision, but at the moment it states, for example, that there are no wetlands, which is contradicted by the map.
Seems to be.
It states that there are only 2 neighbours, which is also contradicted. There were a couple of other issues, and I did try and explain this to Mr. MacDonald on the phone, but he decided that he will come into the office. But if we are not expecting, it's more about our own problems with the fact that we don't have a clear process for a boundary line adjustment. We don't have a clear process if we have a convoluted situation like this, where apparently only a portion of this is actually in need of a change in its boundary. Because Mr. MacDonald is keen to get this done, I need to be clear what I need him to do to be able to bring it to the next.
Yeah, we do have a process of the subdivision regulation process, so.
Basically, I suppose I'm saying, do you want him to fully and completely fill in the subdivision application as it's currently written?
What do you mean by as it's currently written?
As the form as it is currently written, which requires all of that information.
It's reviewed under the subdivision regulation.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just added those details about one of these because that may be, we may only be looking at a division in 2 and not 3, but
Technically, it should be 3 because he should not have filed until presumably it got approved.
This has not been recorded anywhere.
right.
No, but John just said the 1 got recorded on a deed.
No. It's pre-existing lot. So
The lot they just bought,
no.
part of it was already part of the other guy's property.
So divisions of land that predate everything, all land use regulation, still persist. They're still real and they're still marketable lots. And we'll get into the discussion about the details of that in later in the agenda. Unfortunately, it's still got a ways to go. I think, unless there's any disagreement, we'll just have them finish the application. And let's get this moving. It's pretty straightforward in the end. I mean, we can make it even more straightforward, I think, in our analysis of it. But does anybody disagree? We should just get it going.
Fine.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to go to Mr. Huck?
Finally.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Are you awake still?
Yeah.
So we have a sketch plan review. We have, were we able to print any of the sketches by any chance? Okay. Do you want to come up if you don't mind?
Yeah,
I couldn't.
Can you give us
I
the
tried
kind
to
of
read it
snapshot?
online and I could not.
I brought a few copies.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Actually. So that
Is that the full boundary survey, the existing one?
Yeah, that's what's filed with the town. The survey was done in '93
Okay. So we have Tarbellville Road, and we have...
by Tinker. And
Let's do this.
the surveyor is still
this is
alive and active. And
That's a good thing.
I contacted him and asked if he could do the survey.
sorry, wrong one. Okay.
Please keep one person at once.
Faith?
Yes? Yes?
There's some new people on the screen who need to identify themselves.
Okay, yes. So, Pat, please could you identify yourself? And there's also somebody,
So this corner.
Tita, could you identify yourself?
Okay, oh, here's what I did. Just to make it more clear.
Oh, good, yeah.
So basically, this is the corner of the property.
This
And-
corner here is here, right? Do I have that right?
This corner is this corner, yep.
Okay.
So this would be the new property line, the division line.
Okay.
Can I ask you, discussing this, you have the other people identified?
I don't know how to do this. Oh, man. That's funny. You thought it was turned on? I thought it was turned on. I'm just muted my end because I'm just listening. So what do you need to know?
But can you identify yourself so that I can include that in the record, please?
Really? Okay, Pat's either listening in. And somehow we're logged in twice because I'm not good at this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And so here, this is the barn.
That's the existing
Or is that the
house and barns.
Yeah. And so this would be to the north, well, northeast.
Northeast.
Because that would be on. This is the proposed division right here.
Yes.
So it would be in this
line.
vicinity, right?
Yeah.
I have that right? Or it's actually right to the edge of the cutout, huh? Okay.
This little cutout is where the
Culvert.
culvert is.
Oh yeah. And this depicted here is existing or proposed building.
Proposed building, and
Okay. And those
I
are
didn't label these, but these X's are test pits,
okay.
work test pits. Which I don't have a report, but just have.
Alright, so the proposed driveway is north of the culvert, is what you're saying? Not north, I'm sorry.
East.
That's north, east.
Northeast,
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
learn I'll learn how to read a compass one day,
Someday.
someday,
Northeast.
or whatever. It's, yeah, east of,
Up the hill.
up the hill. How's that sound?
And this is following the stone wall here, more or less. Is that a stone wall? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, since it's not my property, I'm acting as the agent, and according to your regulations, I'm supposed to have a authorization letter so that I can
Sure,
act
that's
as. So I just
You give that to
I'm
Faith.
submitting this, and I had a question about what is your jurisdiction for any wetlands, or is that just my responsibility for contacting anybody or staying out of them?
For new construction, for
Mhm.
example, that's, yeah, you probably want to, I mean, you might need a permit, but you have to ask the state. Some of that stuff can be flagged through the permit navigator thing. But yeah, I think, who do you contact these days for wetland permits? Is that going to be Zapata?
Zapata, correct.
Yeah,
I think it said on the wetland, on the permit navigator, it tells you who to contact.
yeah, and we would want to see that, I think, well, Faith can tell you, but at least initiated. We would want that to be considered before, assessing the proposal in detail, like having a hearing, but, it doesn't make any sense to like approve something the wetlands won't allow. So, does it go through a wetland to get to where or is the construction within a wetland that you know of?
No, it's not within it.
Oh, okay. Then you're probably fine. I can't tell you, but you're probably
Yeah.
fine.
That's the house site,
Yep.
so it's driveway's up here, will be.
Yep.
I have to reread the rules, but I think you just need to be 50 feet away.
I think that's usually what they ask for a buffer.
So I talked to the surveyor, and he's old school. He doesn't have an email. He does have a cell phone, so
Who's that? Mr. Tinker, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna try to use him and, hopefully his map is, agreeable to you guys. It might not be what you're used to, I don't know, but just saying that,
For the boundary survey, you mean
Yeah.
part of it?
just saying, talking to him, it sounds like he's,
Does he still have the data from the old one?
He said he was gonna go look.
Yeah,
I'm not
let's
sure.
hope he does. Huh?
He has recently done some other work in town. He did the
Yeah.
work for the Marvin Patch, which was considered adequate.
Okay.
So,
On the application, it asks to list adjacent property owners.
Yeah, there's a few of them, aren't there? There's a lot around here.
You have 2.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Am I supposed to list all the property owners for this
Yeah.
property, or just the ones that are gonna be affected by the
All of
subdivision?
them.
no, the existing property, 400.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because most towns have a very easy way to pull it up on their lister card, but we don't, unfortunately.
I believe Andy had a comment or question.
Andy, did you have something?
No, I think Faith just addressed it. So I noticed that there are only 2 adjacent property owners listed in the application, but looked to me like there were at least several more.
These are
But
probably
Yeah,
I think
the-
Faith
old ones,
explained.
yeah.
It had not been my intention to share the application because it's not complete, because I was going to talk to Michael about additional information that needed to be added to it. But yes, all of the abutters, including those across the road, need to be.
Okay, can I ask what the purpose of notifying neighboring landowners that aren't anywhere near the new subdivision?
Well, it's just generally part of due process, so they can be considered interested parties, and they have a right to give testimony on the issue, and they also have appeal rights on any decision for or against. So they have like a statutory role to play. So we don't get to like really decide whether or not there's a reason, any good reason for it. It is what it is. The comments or testimony they give don't necessarily we weigh it for what it is, what they offer. It's not something that's like they don't have like some people have asked like whether it's a veto power or something. It doesn't work that way. Are you concerned about any of them in particular, or?
No, I just
Okay.
think it's, I don't know, kind of silly to
Because they're half a
notify
mile away.
this landowner that's a half a mile away. And really it's like, you can't see this property,
Yeah. Right. Well, then
and
you're very
it doesn't
likely.
affect them in any,
Well, you're much more you're much less likely to have them even
but then
show
you
up
have
than,
like
to be
neighbors
honest.
that are closer over here that, will be more affected by
Yeah.
subdivision.
And there, there's probably some possibility that, if there was some property owner here that wasn't actually abutting, but had a very strong opinion on it, there are ways that they could ask to be considered interested parties too. But, at least in our experience, if somebody is far away from the proposed development, they're much less likely to even show up to the hearing. They get notified, and this is sort of our general idea of transparency, and notice is required by law. But the law doesn't condition that notice on like the particulars of the development. You could imagine a subdivision that would impact them greatly, right? I mean, it could be divided, in 50 pieces, and It could be a Walmart next to them, or, you know, there's all kinds of things that could impact them. The law doesn't differentiate their rights in terms of what's happening, so. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for us that we can help with or help guide the? There's not a whole lot of design to this, so it's not like sometimes people come and they're like, you know, is it better to be on this side of the garden, or should I have this be over here, or go along the wall, or whatever? But it seems like there's not a lot of not many variables here, so.
Yeah, I was just, I guess, maybe looking for some guidance into.
Well, in the checklist, it's, for example, they'll want you to get a state wastewater permit and water permit, even though the house hasn't been built. But since he's planning to build a house.
Yeah, that's in the works.
Yeah, and I'm just curious when you were talking about that piece, but the rest of it back here continues. So, in other words, you're here just showing on this border here, but your property goes all the way down here, correct? Am I missing something? So are you really subdividing this whole piece into 3 pieces?
No.
Or this piece and this piece are going to stay together, and then this piece is just what's being sliced out, plus or minus? I think this was 6 acres, I think.
Yeah.
So.
See, this is you right here.
Yeah. So I'll just draw on this. That's what we're cutting off.
Okay.
And this is not our property.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Formerly it was.
All right.
Chadburn's years ago.
All right. I misread that when I was looking at this. Okay.
Is this for conveyance, or is this for you, or is this for family or anything like that?
It's for me.
For you, good.
I have a clarification I'd like.
This piece is still going to stay with this piece, right?
There's only, it's a division.
This piece stays with this. This is the only piece that's being sliced out, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. I was getting a little confused by the yellow lines and the
I was just trying to highlight the.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you. The survey shows it looks like a mother structure and then I missed burning. I don't see it on the sketch plan.
I think you might be chopping up a little with your audio, unfortunately.
Sorry.
Could you say that again?
What to do about it? Yeah, can you hear me all right?
I can now.
Okay. I was saying the survey just looks to be a structure house at the end of what is Chadbird Lane, but I don't see it on the sketch plan, and I'm just curious, is it no longer there, is it just not shown on the sketch plan, or what?
The house and barn that over here is asking about.
Yeah.
Still there, right?
Yeah. They were this morning.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It hasn't come down yet.
200 years.
I should say they are still there.
They're still there, yeah. This was just.
They're still there, Andy.
All right.
This was just
Thank
for
you.
review purposes.
Yeah. It's a quick sketch. That's better than most quick sketches. It's
I have one minor comment. I'm not sure it's significant, but in your highway access permit, if I'm reading it right, it says that your driveway is on the east side of Charleville Road. I would have sworn I would think it'd be the south side, unless it's not major. But if my eyes are right,
It's
The
southeast.
it's on the
It's on the
south side of
southeast side.
Tarbleville Road on the east side of the culvert.
right. Anyway, I read it as whatever. I would have read that you're on the south side of Charleville Road. It
Talk to
doesn't.
Clint.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
Oh, we'll blame him. Good.
Okay. You have any other questions tonight?
Don't think
You have all of the information you need to finish the application, and
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All of your neighbors are on the parcel viewer. If you if you look, you'll see all of your neighbors and their IDs and all.
Oh, yeah.
You got a lot of them.
And that's
Yeah.
unfortunately
And
not
most of
always
the
up to-
names have changed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Those aren't really what it's. We don't really have a good tool right now for you. The best tool is to, I don't know, it's the listers, I guess. But I really hope the town will get that some point. But to Ludlow, you just go and you put in your parcel ID, and it gives you the list of who you need to contact.
I think
Wouldn't that be, if you got the parcel ID, I've got the
Hold
grand
on,
list.
Faith was talking.
Oh, sorry.
I think the parcel viewer is relatively
It's
up to
probably
date.
close, yeah.
And usually what I do when I receive these is I cross-check against the grand list,
Mm-hmm.
just to make sure.
Is that the most accurate?
Yes, but the thing is that you kind of need to use the parcel viewer to work out which parcels you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
get the names, and then I would just double check them myself, but you could do it as well, against the grand list.
Mm-hmm. Is the grand list online?
No.
Yeah, these are great questions you're asking.
If you want to come over for coffee, you can use my computer. I have a copy of the grand list
Okay.
as of last year. So,
Yeah,
I'm
and that's
not
why
saying-
having one of the reasons why having the list, there's information online is helpful because it's updated like it live and stuff. But we're getting there.
I would suspect that what I have is reasonably accurate unless,
We
somebody bought a sold oil property.
we
the
recognize
last
this is a real
few months.
challenge.
But I had it for the,
I don't even know some
You
of
see.
some of my neighbors.
I have, these two here I happen to know aren't correct.
Well, this is 1993.
That's
Yeah.
33 years old.
Because Frank
Yeah.
Morelli's been
All right,
gone for a
so-
while.
Okay.
If you have any other questions, feel free to email Faith, and she's good at helping you.
she's a neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is an interested. She's a potential interested party as well.
Interested party.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for your patience.
I'll send you an email tomorrow just about additional information that needs to be on the application.
I guess before we quit, to clarify, or go into the next one, just to clarify, point back up a little bit. The select board usually says you have to have, if you want an agenda item in, I believe it's Wednesday before
It is
the
Wednesday.
Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday before the meeting. Do we have a date prior to our meeting that anybody, like Ron, for example, should have an agenda item in, a drop dead date? Just to clarify.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand.
The
We did it one time.
rules and procedures says 72 hours. A copy
Okay.
of the rules
Well-
and procedures that I have.
All right, I didn't remember what it was, I just didn't know if we had it. So I just wanted to clarify for going forward.
Yeah, it's in the rules and procedures which are on the website.
Okay,
All right,
so I'm
so
assuming he's right, so if he has it
72, like,
3 days prior to, would,
working days probably, right?
Well,
Not counting weekends.
Actually says 72 hours, which would imply,
we're talking about a
Yeah,
completed
that's
application.
72 hours pretty
Is
general.
that what we're referring
Yeah.
to?
yeah,
It's
Like his
something
deadline?
So he's
So-
Okay.
talking about.
to err on the side of
Well-
caution, Wednesday. That's 3
all right.
business days.
All right, let's keep moving. So we have, so following up from actually something that Stephen brought up a couple of months ago and sort of, I think, further motivated by recent, surprising developments. It's worth looking at sort of an evolution of our BCR ordinance. And so the way I thought I would share some sort of case studies here of how other towns without zoning handle this. So, when you have zoning, you don't need anything additional because it's all handled through the zoning permitting process. The zoning administrator gets prior notice of, by the way, we totally wouldn't be offended if you wanted to go home, just saying.
No, this stuff is
Good nighttime reading.
my,
Oh, okay, okay. Just wanted to throw that out there.
From the sound.
And the way other towns handle this is by having there's slight variations on the theme, but Chittenden calls it a permit tracking ordinance. Rutland does the same. Heartland calls it construction permit ordinance. And what these are these a framework for getting information on what's going on. In the main reason is so the town is not chasing after and trying to urge compliance after the fact. We've noticed this in the past several years on a variety of things. I'd say most importantly probably the flood hazard bylaws that Faith does an amazing job of trying to track people down. We have people that we still haven't been able to track down because we don't have their information. But it's a very expensive, potentially contentious, and not ideal type of situation. So Rutland Town just fairly recently adopted this one, and I have just these other two just kind of as examples. I think the Rutland Town one is probably in some ways the better. So this is something we might consider as an evolution of our BCR ordinance. And as we know, one of the sort of frightful or really problematic parts of our BCR, and this is what you brought up recently, is that it says just go ahead and build. So one reason for that is that's a violation of state law. State law requires that we at least inform the people doing the work that they need to comply with state law. By saying that go ahead, we are hurting ourselves, making this a vulnerability for us. And I think there's a lot here. I think we can probably sort of mull this over and discuss it again next month, considering the late hour. But I just wanted to raise the issue. I think this is, in general, I think there's lots of details and stuff that we would want to do differently and better. But I think this is a workable framework or idea for us, for a non-zoning town that wants to have information. The key being that it is informational only. The Rutland ordinance calls it an information permit or something like informational permit. And there is no, nothing, and this is, nothing zony about it, right? So we're not like looking at the details of the construction, what it actually is. It's basically a way to keep the listers updated, make sure that we're tracking, housing units, statistics, making sure that if there are any other town bylaws that would be triggered, that we are advising the applicants appropriately, etc. So, which are all things that we use the BCR ordinance for. Like I said, it's after 8. It's probably not worth looking at every line of this. Does anybody have any thoughts on what's here or anything they'd like to discuss tonight before we kind of maybe get more into it next month?
I haven't had a chance. It arrived today, so I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay. Fair enough. Anybody else?
Not at this point.
Okay.
It's just what you're basically saying, it's replacing the current ordinance with something along those lines.
Well, it's a possibility, is
Right.
that we would,
I'm just saying.
I think it's pretty clear to literally everyone that the BCR ordinance is problematic. It's a matter of how I think it's pretty much agreed that we don't want to use zoning at this time for that. That's a big leap. These are, I think, the kind of minimum you can do.
Right.
It's like there is statutory authority for this. And the next level would be zoning.
Right.
Under,
Just,
Title
I guess the
117.
point is that, we ain't gonna do zoning. But just that it's got nothing to, does anything I read in there so far, doesn't say anything about borderline adjustments. It says the forms will be created under the select board.
Borderline adjustments, what do you mean?
I'm sorry, I'm mixing up with the next topic, subdivision. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, okay, no, this is a BCR
Sorry.
replacement kind of idea. Okay.
This will be approved by the select board?
The way these work is that, yeah, we draft and we submit to the select board for their consideration and potential adoption.
And this is not necessarily the form, it's going to be the ordinance. So they have to approve it.
Yeah, this is the ordinance that was approved by the Rutland Town Select Board.
Yeah, this is their live ordinance in Rutland
Yeah.
Town, which is
And
one of our communities that's analogous to us. Yeah.
And then we would need to develop the form that needs to be completed.
Right, so we would write, if we wanted to go forward with this kind of idea, we would write our own ordinance with, I think, some things that are different. And there would be a form that goes along with it. So, and these are a couple of examples. So, anything else on that for today, Jeff?
The current VCR form is just a form, or is it a form and an ordinance?
It's just a form.
Just a
No,
But there is an ordinance.
There is an
There is an
ordinance,
ordinance.
which
Yeah.
is on the town website.
in that,
But the form is just the form.
It's like basically one page, actually.
yeah, the ordinance is, from like mid '90s or something. It's very, very old.
And I feel like the biggest issue is having that verbiage on there that says it's your responsibility. Right now, from what I understand, there's nothing on the current form that says you need to go seek out any other applicable state.
The form does say that.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of issues with the ordinance. I mean, it's really very, very brief. It doesn't really give us the information, the listers the information, the planning commission, the select board, the information we would need to assess, how to advise them on what else they would need. And that's, one of the issues, I think even Dennis has brought up, that it is very difficult for people to know what they need to do. Because it's just, this would actually help with that. Because then we would get the information, Faith would, the way this would work in theory is that Faith would get the information, be able to advise them, okay, based on what I'm seeing, you would need to contact the state for this, and you need to contact Bovee for this, and the select board for this, etc. Because right now we're just, people first of all don't know. There's no good way to communicate that, but also we end up just chasing people around later.
I believe on the ones we've seen, because I'm trying to remember ours, but on these they have monetary penalties, and I believe ours don't, I think. I'm not positive, I don't remember for sure.
No,
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
there is no penalty.
All right,
So that's the basic idea. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions on that? I mean, you haven't probably looked at them either yet, so
No, I agree. It's way out of date. So
yeah.
that's
Okay.
one update and ordinance update's good.
All right. So this, I sent an email about this. And Faith did too. The select board has considered writing a letter. One I think mostly against, but addressing Act 181. And to the extent we are either expected or it's advisable that we give some information about this. I put this on the agenda, but in the meantime, trying to get the data from the state regulators, the Land Use Review Board, he basically didn't want to give me the new maps because he said, don't worry, it's pointless. We had reviewed, I don't know if there really were substantial updates since we last reviewed it. We reviewed it in December, I believe, and we just said there's almost nothing in town that constitutes this higher level of this tier 3 protection, which I think is surprising slightly. I think they really did, they kind of anticipated some backlash, and they really didn't put anything in their mapping, and I think that's kind of left out of a lot of the political discussion. But I think the theory is different from the practice. So when we reviewed the maps last, there was really nothing to be concerned about, in our opinion. We didn't give any guidance back to them. But I haven't gotten any updates. And the reason is they think, or they're certain, that it's not going to go forward anyway. So what I suggest is that we look, maybe briefly, do we have time before the final hearing again? I don't think we do. This is the last meeting before the final hearing, right? Or it's on the same day?
Yeah, it's May the 9th.
Same day? Okay, so this will be the final chance to review changes to the regional plan, which is also related to Act 250 and 181, and probably has way more impact than Tier 3 would ever have in this town. Anybody that doesn't have this, I think you're welcome to come and look at what was sent to us. This was sent to the select board as well by the Regional Planning Commission, and it outlines the changes since their last draft. And they've slightly, we sent them some, I think, pretty detailed comments and map changes. It looks like some of them they've gotten rid of. So that is what it is. I don't know if it's worth, at this late date trying to get into that with them, but we can just go through it very briefly. It's not long here. What are the changes? The village center, no changes. Resource-based recreation area, no changes. Remember, that was basically Okemo, but it was also Mount Holly Heights, I think they said, was also that. But I don't see that depicted on the... No, it is depicted on their second map, page 4. So yeah, it's just the lease area of Okemo. Okay, so rural agriculture and forest area. This land use category was refined to more reflect working lands. So they probably, it includes parcels enrolled in current use and parcels 20 acres or greater with agricultural forest land. Okay, so the way I read that is more closely reflecting the current use enrollment.
That's how I saw the map.
Rural agricultural and forestry. So that's the light blue.
I know, but that's...
So it's really hard to tell without looking side by side what changed, but it doesn't look to be that dramatically different. Rural conservation area. This is one I think they changed considerably. Reduced after the first hearing.
From 20.
Now, I don't know if these comments are specific for Mount Holly or just in general. I'm assuming specific.
Well, if you look at ours,
Yes, they were
it went
specific
from
to the
20,000 acres down to 5 acres. Most of it appears to have gone into the rural agriculture and forestry area.
Yeah. So they've used class 1 and 2 exclusively.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing to note, I guess, is that the conserved lands database is not up to date, but it's not really the end of the world. The land is conserved whether they say it is or not. There's additional land down here that is. There's additional land over here that is, but
Well, that tends to change on a regular basis.
it changes, and I don't think, if it's conserved, it's conserved. I don't think like having it depicted on the map is really going to change anything. It's actually state land for the most part. Does anybody seem to have to want to do anything about that? I would suggest it's probably not critical. Andy, do you have thoughts on that?
Sorry, I had a hard time finding the unmute button. No, I don't.
Okay.
I wasn't able to look at it very closely, but I did skim it.
Yeah, I think they just left some things out of the darker green that would be properly marked as green, but what else is there?
Question I had, under this rural agriculture and forestry area, which is a lot of our town, it talks about low development, low density. Would that mean that all of that, I'll call it bluish area, we could not put a little cluster housing group in there? Is this map now precluding us from considering other places in town for affordable housing?
I would say it doesn't necessarily preclude, but it is related. So this map in particular indicates where the priorities are.
Well,
Right, but that's the old map, right? This is what we're gonna be lived by, this new map.
Right, but this also, yeah. So
Right, so I'm talking about that, yeah. So I'm looking, that's the color I mean. So when I look at this, there are two purple areas that they're saying are for village areas, I guess they call them, village centers.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of purple area in there that I've driven by.
Purple.
I'm sorry, I'll tell you what color, this color right
Oh,
here.
the gris.
It's defined as rural, ag, and
Defined.
forestry, right?
Yeah, the state will look at the purple
yeah.
for prioritizing.
Well, or the,
Well, all right, all
well,
right.
I think it might depend on how they're defining it, because that relates to, I think, Act 181. Because the rural might be defined where you could do, I think they changed the rules, less than 50.
The prioritization for basically all of the incentives for housing and for wastewater are in the purple.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the flip side of that.
Village centres.
Village centers.
Right.
as
I'm looking at the
depicted.
flip side of that though. If by chance we can't do something in the village centers, maybe there's, we can't get it done. Is Rutland County precluding us from working in the rural ag and forestry areas? There's a lot of land there that has the potential for a cluster community. That's why I want to understand. Are they locking us out?
No, I don't think that's quite how it works. No.
I don't know how it works. That's why when this gets approved, will these be the only two areas that we're going to be able to look for affordable housing?
Or do your permit, or is it, and I don't know the answer to this, is your permit, is the permit requirements more stringent because you're not, is there an Act 250 permit required or an Act 181 permit required once you try to do something in the forested area, such as build a multi-unit? And I don't know the answer to that.
In our
I don't
town-
expect anybody here to know the answer, but I think that's kind of what
I
you're
mean,
asking.
there's a jurisdictional thing. So in general, if we're talking about a multi-unit development, that would almost certainly involve Act 250 in our town.
Even right now.
Because we're a 1 acre town, right? So we don't have zone. If you had zoning, you could do it without the state's involvement. But because we don't have zoning, it would require Act 250's involvement. Unless, it's a tiny, less than one. You can't put, 10 homes on a less than 1 acre anyway, probably. I mean, maybe. I mean, straight up, yeah.
Yeah, no,
okay.
yeah.
But, that's what there's so many caveats. But in general, Act 250 would be involved. Act
I think that's the
250's.
confusion is sorry to cut you off, but just Act 181, and I feel like this is where my confusion is what is it going to change? I hear about long driveways, I hear just people against it, but I think you're just trying to test it to see, what if we did this, and I could be, go ahead.
Well, this is not even Act 1. I think Act 181 is going to get thrown out, at least the rural part of it, right? They're going to repeal the rural
right.
part of it. Maybe they'll stick with the cities, which I think they should. I'm just looking at a whole separate issue. Does Rutland Regional Planning Commission now handcuff us in some way by, we don't have zoning, but is this a type of zoning where we can have as our report, the housing report suggests, cluster housing is a good idea. They use Bristol, Vermont as an example, right? Or Hawk Mountain, they didn't use it, but Jim used it. Is this now going to limit us from the opportunities of affordable housing? That's what I'm asking.
Right, so the question was, what is the
Does the
impact
regional plan with this new map, I'm going to reformulate the question.
Okay, well, I can answer it both ways, actually, if you want. But go ahead, try to rephrase it.
Does the regional plan, if there's no comments and it's accepted the way it is, how does that limit? Is it strictly from a funding limitations now? Because the plan is there to encourage growth in certain areas. Is that really the restriction of this plan?
Okay, so do both. So the first one, to the extent that the select board still wants to say anything about Act 181, even though it's almost certainly going to be repealed. My assessment is that Act 250 wouldn't change because we don't have any tier 3 areas that would trigger a heightened scrutiny. We have very, very few mapped areas in town that would trigger the what they call it, significant concerns, right? So that's like a no. There wouldn't be any change. There would certain areas that have those might, but we don't really have any of those mapped.
Wow.
So this is a separate discussion. Like on this one, are we hampered by anything in here? I don't think there's any significant change actually to what's already in the future land use designation, except for areas that are more amenable or have existing development, right? So I think overall the state planning goals are continue to develop infill where you have it, not have sprawl, have villages separated by rural landscapes, right? And I think that's, this is as close to that as you can get in our town. We've identified where we have tightly denser development, where we have the potential for it, where we have existing development. So, one way to look at this would be they've broken down this big blob of green, which is sort of very crude, into areas that have the remnants of that green, but also areas that have current higher level of development. So this is called...
That's what we're
Well, based on the 181 FAQs, and I probably want to check what I'm saying with an attorney because I only play one on TV. But the green you're talking about would probably be a tier 1B area. And if it would be defined as that, it says...
Which green? Sorry, just which one?
I'm sorry, the light blue.
We don't have any tier 1 in our town.
We don't have anything like that in our town. Our
Well,
town almost...
Except the way the FAQs read, it's either a tier 1A, B, a tier a 1A, 1B. I don't know what I thought there was a third
We don't
one.
have that.
And then there's tier 3.
No, there's tier 2.
The FAQ doesn't address.
Well, that's
tier
just
2.
maybe because it's the norm.
That's everything that's not tier 1.
So there's like
tier 3.
So there's like tier. No, this is my understanding. Okay.
All right.
They've made things easier to develop in tier 1 than tier 2 is like as it is now. Tier 1 is easier to develop in places like cities.
All right.
Well, wait, we call them cities. They're not all cities, but
Towns.
bigger towns, Rutland. And then there's places that have higher sensitivities in terms of the state's natural communities goals and other things, and sensitive issues like wetlands. They've actually really constrained those down to like just a couple.
Right.
There's like, it's in the FAQ, there's like the headwaters, wetlands, et cetera. There's a couple of them. And unless they're mapped, they don't exist with respect to Act 250
Okay.
or at 181.
But based on the 1B area definition.
Okay,
Act
but I'm
250.
just saying we don't have that in town.
We don't have them in it, so.
It may, whatever, it's not even
Alright.
worth, we don't have it. So we don't have any areas that would make it easier to develop based on this Act 181, and we have almost no areas that would make it harder to develop. So my view, we haven't taken a position, but my view is that there's absolutely no effect from 181 in our town.
Except
Almost none.
Except the 800-foot driveway, which
No,
would affect
2,000
everywhere, right?
foot. Well,
The road rule
The
could
road rule would
potentially have an effect for extremely long roads, but the town roads are exempt from that.
Yeah. Are there other? I only hear about the road one. Is there? And I ask just because it seems like a form to ask. But are there other ones besides the road one that you've heard of? If anybody's heard here of, could be sticking points.
There are, and I can't remember. I can't remember. That one jumped out at me because it could affect anybody.
Yeah.
Any parcel that has a large parcel, they might put it. 800 feet's not that far, right? I mean,
Well, no,
800 feet is a huge driveway.
But
of a driveway, yeah.
800 feet is not a driveway in this context. 800 feet would be a road going into a new development with multiple structures. If it's an individual house, it's a 2,000 foot driveway.
Yeah, and I can think of only, just in my preliminary research, I can think of only one case in the last like 20 or 30 years that would apply to. And that's the road to the top of Sawyer's Rocks. And that's, I think, the only development that would even be remotely curtailed by this. And because that's an extremely, almost half a mile. So it's huge. I don't, my thought, I don't know if we want to take a position on this, is that we really just don't have that much impact here. But I think, the discussions are more just about the overall state issues. But
I agree. I'm not concerned with 181 because I think it'll be moot, as you say. I'm just concerned that this doesn't limit our housing opportunities. That's all.
no, I think the only thing that we probably look at some point is that, this has diverged somewhat from our future land use map. But I don't think, and we addressed that in detail over August and September. We spent quite a bit of time. Select board sent some feedback. I don't know if that sort of rolling back has been dramatic enough for us to even bother.
Even though, because I felt like when we submitted the list, there wasn't any of the things we submitted weren't even hard, something, big issues.
Yeah, we were just kind of looking
This
at
is what we
details,
have,
but
yeah.
does anybody think that we should? What Faith? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to tell the select board something? I don't know. What are we supposed to do?
Okay. The chair of the select board asked me to draft a response to send to the state legislature on Act 181, and as I phrased it in my message to you and the Conservation Commission, to consider if there are potential drawbacks. I can't remember exactly the word I used, but I sent you an email. I was given a copy of a letter that had been prepared by another town, but I think that letter was based on the situation 2 months ago, when the discussions were still ongoing and have moved on quite significantly. I decided of my own volition that I should consult with the Planning Commission and the Conservation Commission to see if either commission has any concerns about Act 181, which I did.
Thank you.
I haven't yet put together a draft, and I believe I'm under instructions to bring one back to the select board at the next select board meeting. But I think part of the issue is for the select board to make a statement, a public statement regarding Act 181. And given what's happened, it may be more about the process or the lack of clear consultation with citizens about how this has all worked, rather than the potentially moot discussion of the impact of tiers 1,
Right,
B,
right.
and 3.
Or it may just be a very general letter of,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Would we be comfortable saying that we are unable to reassess the specific impacts of Tier 3 because the maps are no longer available to us based on the likelihood of repeal? Is that something that we could tell the select board? That's a pretty factual statement. We weren't able to assess the latest mapping. I mean, they basically disbanded, is the way I read it.
Find out when they're going to repeal it, and maybe just let the select board off the hook, and they could just drop it. I mean, any idea?
I do believe the chair would like to
Okay.
make a public.
Yeah, I think you can only state the
intervention.
facts. System maps aren't
Yeah.
available, so it's hard.
But
to
we could also say that when we
I may
last
add a few my own few at review, such as the driveways and express concerns, but that would be discussed at the meeting, I guess, and formalized.
Okay. We reviewed this information in December and didn't find anything adversely impactful to the town. That's another factual statement. I don't think we have anything on the record about the driveways. I mean, that thing I just related was my own work, but about the Sawyer Rocks issue. That's the only long driveway I can think
I
of.
think you're right, though. I think
There's one of them.
I think it's a general, the whole process and really the clarity, and it's how do you even be in favor of it if the thing is such a moving target, or not in favor. That's part of the problem.
The other thing,
Can't get information on it.
the point you made that you reviewed it in December and found no areas that would be impacted, whatever you just said, the town has found no areas. Is there some of those areas are sensitive areas, conservation areas and all, headwaters and all. Would that landowner who lives there feel the same way as the words you just used, that they feel there's no impact?
How can I answer that?
Well, I'm making a point, is that we're speaking for landowners then. Let's take one landowner somewhere on the side of Okemo who is in a fragile area. I'm not saying we shouldn't do this, I'm just saying, can this town speak for, we found no land that will be impacted by this. I think there's a landowner there who might say, wait a minute, it is going to impact me, I won't be able to build my house. That's all I'm trying to clarify.
One of the things that's happened I looked at, I should have made a copy of it. There was a map prepared, it was at the beginning of the regional planning process, which showed the proportion of land in Tier 3, and then there was a subsequent one prepared by the committee that's working on the regulations 7 months later, and the first map was sort of all green Tier 3, and the second map was tiny dots. And I think the process itself has led to a lot of confusion, misunderstanding, and assumptions about how invasive this legislation may be. As the process moved, it became obvious that it had to be much clearer about what it's trying to do and how the regulations are trying to deliver on the legislation, and those two things have not yet matched up, and that's probably why they're leading to the idea of repealing the legislation.
The select board letter to speak to the vagaries of it right now, and that we cannot support something that is so ill-defined. I mean, that might be a simple way of doing it.
Well, I mean,
I think that's probably out there.
it is highly precise on how it's defined. That's the thing. It's not vague at all. I think what Faith was saying, tell me if I'm misstating it, is that the way the issue was communicated is hard to, it's sort of like very technical. And, the idea of just calling this thing Tier 3 as if it's equivalent to Tier 2, when there's like no comparison. It's like teeny tiny, like Faith was saying, tiny, like it's more like a pinpoint targeted analysis. And, thinking, oh my gosh, well, there's Tier 2 and then there's this Tier 3, like broad brush. I mean, it's actually nothing like that. But the way on paper, there's Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, it seems like there's an equivalence. And I think that makes it very difficult for people to really wrap their heads around. It's not any different really from like, is there, this may be a trivial example, but like, is there a vernal pool that's mapped? That has nothing to do with Act 181. You might have to deal with that through Act 250 now. Those are the kinds of resources that do kind of heighten concern. And what does that mean? Does it mean you can't build? No, you just don't build in the middle of it, right? So they look at, there's like a whole way that Act 250 works. It's about avoiding first and mitigating. But anyway, it's complicated. All this stuff is really wonky. It's really policy stuff. And it's hard. It's kind of hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
This maybe if they made mistakes, and they clearly have, Act 151 made a complex thing more complex, right?
Yeah.
But can we state, I don't think we necessarily have to like wave our hands about, are there lots of areas in town that would be impacted? No, there really aren't. But
I think where most people are, I guess, jumping up and down from what little I've heard, is the road rules. And they're, you know, the 800 and the 2,000 feet, they're probably confused as to what's what, but also if they've got to do an Act 250, for example, and let's assume they're, whatever the criteria is for 800 feet, somehow they're 850, then they got to go through the cost of an Act 250. And I think that's probably what the,
Yeah, which is probably less than building a 2,000-foot road, to be honest. But
well, I'm just saying, I don't know.
No, I know.
I don't know.
I agree with you. That seems to be the
But I
sticking
think
point.
that seems to be where the most agita is
Yeah, it
coming
seems
in.
that way.
That came up at the select board meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that's lost in the discussion is that, and Dennis probably remembers this, I mean, there was a road rule. And I think, I don't know, do you know the details of why it was dropped or when?
Which one?
There was a road rule.
Yeah.
And then at some point it got dropped, and I don't know exactly when, but I think, you know, speaking, you know, to just some planners that weren't involved, they weren't legislators, but like in the planning side, you know, they thought like they kind of accidentally dropped it, and they were just kind of restoring that. So I don't know. You know, I think, do we need to resolve something, or what would you like, Faith? What would be the best for you? Because we should move on one way or the other.
I will take the points that have been made about the specific nature of the letter. I'll put them together in a draft, and I will present it to the select board.
Okay.
Could I offer a thought?
Yes.
To me, the process problem is that the legislature declared that there would be these three tiers. But then then left it to the commission or committee to figure out what was in tiers. So I think the public backlash and we started to see what the commission was including and not including. And so it wasn't really a transparent process. So after it became law, only after it became law, were people able to see what its consequences would be. And to me, that the procedural flaw, lack of transparency, that ultimately is killing the three categories of people are now seeing what's in it. I think they're also, to some degree, reacting to out of fear rather than data. But I do think that's the source of the problem. To me, that's what I would focus on if I were critical of this issue. That the law was passed and then later people found out what it meant.
Okay. All right. I think we can leave that one there. Thank you, Faith, for including us on that. Last thing, I'm hoping that this will be relatively brief. Let's endeavor to get out of here by 9. And I think this is a more like yes or no kind of thing. I want to make some progress on the subdivision updates. We've kind of been a little bit distracted by lots of other things going on. In terms of, I think it's worth looking at some things we flagged in our existing ones that we want to decide whether we should keep or improve. We, identified lots of problems as we go through hearings and so on. So I've identified, I think, just 20 some of these, and I think you can kind of just give me your impressions on. We'll see. Let's go through them.
Do we have that document?
No.
Okay.
I'm just going to talk about it.
Okay.
The statute requires written findings, so there's not much we can do about that. That's 24 VSA 4464B1. So we don't actually have that requirement in our current regulations.
Point of order. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have something in front of me. You want our opinion in what, or just going to recite it, or would you like our opinion?
We're going to talk about, yeah, I do. So we're going to talk about these items, and we're going to just briefly discuss on whether or not.
How can we discuss it? I'm just listening to words.
Yeah,
it's very difficult, John. John.
Here, we can look at it together.
No, I think that's not the proper procedure, is it?
We don't have to have a material to talk about something.
All right, keep talking. I mean,
I haven't even started.
I know, I'm saying it's probably not the right mode to do this. If you want our opinion, give us a document to work from.
Okay, so there's not much we can do about written findings. Those are something that we're required to have. In general, let's see. Let's just go to some easier ones. Okay, so one question we've often considered is sketch plan review and whether it's something we want to keep, whether it's something we want to require. It's required in the current regulations for major subdivisions. It's often very useful for minor. It's something that we should consider. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Whether we're going to keep that, formalize that? These are not things that we're necessarily going to decide tonight. They're just things that'll help guide us going forward. I've heard discussions in the past in our deliberations about whether or not we want these to continue, whether we should require them. We haven't had a major subdivision in my tenure, but they are, I think, not really specified or is required for those. They are in some people's regulations. Anybody have thoughts on sketch review, or whether it's useful? Seemed to be useful for you.
I mean, is there any like verdict in what I just presented going forward? Like, you saw the sketch review, but will you like have a verdict for, you know?
Yeah, so is there any kind of decision or determination? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
No, because those can only be made after like a noticed or warned hearing, like actual decisions. The role of sketch review is to like guide and perhaps collaborate before you go through the expense of like a survey, start spending money. You know, like for example, if you have to call a surveyor back and change things later based on you know something that could have been resolved up front, that's usually what people look for in a sketch review. Is this something that's sort of like, and sometimes about like going through, when we do have it, like, especially if we had a better checklist, you know, we could, you know, give some guidance on how best to approach, you know, compliance with that. For example, we have things in there that we could tell you we don't really follow anymore, like the documenting test pits on a plat, like we don't consider that necessary anymore. We don't do our own inspections of septic systems because of the new wastewater rules have taken away that authority, etc. That's the kind of stuff we discuss in sketch plan review, usually.
John, I view this as that the sketch plan review is sometimes helpful. And we don't require very much of the sketch. We've often just gotten a pencil drawing on a piece of paper. So it doesn't seem like particularly burdensome or ought to be. So in my mind, the fact that it's sometimes helpful and doesn't need to be burdensome, to me it's worth keeping it.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts on that otherwise? No?
I happen to think it's helpful to both of us, the planning commission and the landowner, only because we might see something that needs to be adjusted or something.
It's better done earlier than later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before it gets into major costs.
Okay. Another hopefully easy one is, should we have a simplified path for amendments? And that's, you know, we had an amendment recently where we had to, because of our regulations, we had to follow the same exact procedure as a new proposal. Most towns have an amendment process. Should we consider an amendment process? I would suggest we should. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, that also clears up, because what's happened in the past, I'm trying to remember when, a while ago, the changes were done very informally, and there were many of them on a piece of property.
And I would suggest that in addition to that, as maybe a second step, should we have an administrative approval of a limited set of amendments? So are there things that Faith as administrative officer can just say, yeah, looks good, like a very minor change, even a correction to a plat, etc., shouldn't necessarily require our review? Is that, I mean, as long as we can properly define it, does that seem something that would be
Yes, there's
advantageous?
In other words, I would think if there's a logical reason, like circumstances on the ground changed for whatever reason, not that the person arbitrarily decides, I want this subdivision to go from 4 acres to 6, and the ones that was 12 to go to 10.
Minor change, yeah, like more minor changes.
I'm going to say more of a change that on the ground they determined that, well, by then they already, I'm going to use an example that doesn't apply, but let's say they can't put a septic in this spot. They would have already figured that out prior to, but I'm just saying, you know, what happened on the ground, they have to change.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah, I was thinking more like we've had some very minor boundary line adjustments that are administratively approved, but it's actually not, you know, something that the bylaws currently address. Seems to me that we should have a pathway for Faith to just approve the minor changes. We've made determinations that things don't require full hearings, but seems like it should be in the bylaws. Something to think about it.
Specifically allow Faith to do it.
I think we should have a boundary line adjustment policy, a document somehow to define when and how we do them.
Right. Well, more clear that it's under the subdivision bylaw. Yeah.
Either, yes, but make it very clear.
Yeah. And I think there's, you know, like that's what I was saying, I think, is that there should be a very clear way for Faith to determine on her own, is this a very minor change? Is this a, you know, like we've had several that were like 5 or 10 feet changes. Those should be pretty clear. They're you know, insignificant. Okay, so let's see. So we currently have a 2-stage review for major subdivisions, although we haven't seen many.
That's a good.
Do we want to, I think it probably does make sense to retain those and to not have those for minor. Does that sort of structure still make sense to us? One thing that we don't have clearly specified in the bylaw now is the 2-stage would necessitate 2 hearings. That's really what the 2 stages are. Unfortunately, it's totally not clear in our regulations. I think we need to make sure these things are spelled out. So that you may not have enough information to think about 2 stages for major now, but something to think about. That would be something we would need to determine. Let's see, what's another easy one? We only have a couple minutes. We currently have an I call it an exemption or an exception for agriculture and conservation. Does that make sense to continue that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And for passing it down to your child, I think is also one of them.
Yeah, I think that one can, it's a little, Andy, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I think the exceptions for gifts,
Right.
which honestly it's not. I mean, it's seems clear what that means, but I think practically different things. Do give me when you're.
No,
I said 9 and we're cutting it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Remember, public comment doesn't require action. It's just comment.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess we'll extend a little bit for that. Sorry, Andy, I didn't catch the very last part. Jeff was just saying his goodbyes.
Yeah, just to say that one of the exemptions is for gifts, which is a little ambiguous about what's intended by that. Are you donating it to a charity, or is that what is meant by gifts, or is it that you're giving gifts to a kid? I mean, that it doesn't, it's not clear whether it means all those things or some of those things.
Right. Yeah, we've struggled with that one. And we've also struggled with, and I think we can consider that one another time, what that actually means, or whether we want to retain it.
Yeah.
The other thing, part of that we struggled with, is this word soul and how it applies to the exceptions. The sole purpose of conservation, the sole purpose of agriculture. We've applied that to mean, based on just the strict reading, all lots in the proposal, but we might want to consider it to only apply to the lots being created. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
So that's something that we might want to correct if we consider it an error now. Another thing, then I'll just say one more after this, and then we'll put it off till next month. Do we want to consider what we might be able to do to encourage housing in the bylaw? So, might have to think creatively about this, but we've kind of taken this idea that we are, we have one set of rules for everything. There is a possibility that we could have ways of incentivizing things that help our housing goals. Something to think about. Making it easier, reducing fees. I don't know. There's a couple of things you could probably think about there. The last one I'll mention is the lot mergers. So the reason it's relevant, well, first of all, I'll say what does it mean. I believe it was last month you had a question about lot mergers, and I said I answered mostly from a sort of technical point of view, like do lots you still have any sort of existence after they've been joined under common ownership, and they do technically. And I wanted to be sure that what I stated was correct, so I asked VLCT. And it gets into some detail, but there is a possibility in some towns that they can be merged through the explicit actions of a bylaw. We don't have a bylaw that includes any merger language, and so therefore they continue to exist independently, even under common ownership. So that is something we can consider, whether we want to continue in our adoption of a new subdivision bylaw.
Or it could be part of the borderline adjustment.
That's actually the research I saw said the same thing. And borderline adjustment is one way to do it.
So in other words, we did have one, the gentleman had, I believe, 70 acres and bought another 5 or 10 that was contiguous to it and just wanted to move the border and combine them both.
Right, so yeah, you can, there's
just a simple borderline adjustment, as long as the borderline adjustment rules are simple and clear, that could handle the mergers right there.
Somebody can explicitly do a lot merger, but it was something I wanted to address explicitly, that there's no lot merger automatic today in town. It's something that we could have as part of a new bylaw. We could say that, old lots are merged, or we could not. Either way, it's something to think about. Right now,
John.
And so one more thing, then I'll let you jump in. So then we could have, and I think we should have, an explicit pathway for lot mergers. If we don't make it automatic, we should have a way that's slightly different than boundary line adjustment, but probably using the same, technology.
When I read the mechanism, I did some research also and found the same things that you did, that boundary line adjustment is an easy way to do it. It has to come to the town. You can't,
Yeah. Well, it depends on. It can just be a plat that says, lot merger. Yeah. Andy, what was that?
I'm not really understanding of the boundary. Can you hear me okay?
Sort of, picking up most of it.
Sorry. I'm not sure how the boundary line adjustment relates to the merger doctrine. The merger doctrine says that two lots that under an ownership automatically or don't, depending on what the bylaws say, become one lot. And the question, and under the current state of affairs here in town, they don't. So someone who owns two contiguous lots could sell one of them without having to go through the subdivision process at all, because they remain separate lots. I don't know why how a boundary line adjustment would be a substitute for having a automatic merger doctrine or not.
The way I heard the discussion, or Ron's point, maybe Stephen's point, was not that it would involve the automatic merger in any way, but it would be a mechanism by which you can merge lots. So rather than necessitating any kind of separate lot merger instrument, you could affect the same result with a boundary line adjustment and the dissolution of the intra-lot line. And I think that's true.
We would just have to define it very, very carefully.
But I think what I am suggesting is that in addition to boundary line adjustments, we just have an explicit pathway for lot mergers, just to make it very, transparent. And it also has, and that's only if we don't want to have automatic mergers. And I think we probably don't. In having a lot merger path in subdivision makes it even more clear that merger is not automatic because it's explicit and and so on.
Right.
Yeah, but we have to be very explicit in the definitions. For example, we don't want me with a half-acre lot suddenly buying 60 acres heading down towards 155 and want to merge that with my half an acre.
Why not?
They'd have to be contiguous.
Well, they are. I'm just saying.
What I read, and I think it was the state law. I don't know what I was reading. Is just or I would not agree. I would not think automatic is a good idea because people do buy two adjacent lots with the intention of selling them separately later. And if they automatically merge, they need a subdivision now.
Right.
And it warns you in there. Don't do it unless you're willing to have a subdivision. So I would not do automatic.
Well, usually they condition it on the size. Yeah, it has to. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't read anything about size. But anyway, I think it should just be done. It will be done easily. What I was reading, very easily with a boundary line adjustment.
Yeah. I'll leave we can go through some of the other ones. So later, there's also, I'll just give you a flavor of, I can send this around. This is just my initial thoughts today. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Things for Faith to consider too. I want your input on this. Whether you should be the one doing all the noticing or whether the applicant should be, because in some towns the applicant is required to do it. The question is, will they? And if they don't, then it's our process that is jeopardized. Something to think about there, and that's like on-site mailings, etc. So there's a few of these sort of administrative and procedural things that I think we should try to nail down to understand how we would like to approach a revision. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I'll share some of those thoughts with you before the next meeting. We don't have anything else except public comments. We've lost our audience. You have the floor.
I have much too much to do, so I will not go through what I planned. I just want to clarify how I should go forward. I had agenda items that were not, they were posted 72 hours before to an email. An email sent to an official email is deemed as received. That's in our bylaw, that's in our rules. And so I would want to know for the future, is when I request an agenda item, I'm gonna follow the rules, 72 hours to the email. The second thing I want to understand is you said it's at your discretion whether an agenda item gets added. And it says in our rules, those who wish to add an item to the meeting agenda need to contact the chair to request its inclusion on the agenda. All need to be in within 72 hours. It doesn't say anything at your discretion. Do I understand now that you can decide not to put an item on the agenda?
It's a request, right?
Yeah.
That's the word it uses.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a request, and it is the chair's role to try to maintain order and have an agenda that isn't 3 hours long.
Okay.
We seem to have failed
That's
that
not how I
tonight.
read this, but that's okay.
Which part?
I just read it to you.
Okay, you can continue.
I just read you what it says. Those who wish to add an item to the meeting agenda need to contact the chair to request its inclusion on the agenda. All requests need to be in. You mean you can deny a request? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're
This
saying?
is an opportunity for you to give some input and feedback.
Oh,
in whatever way you wish.
okay. And I have another question. I had prepared some, as you know from what I emailed, a discussion of the possible people who might want to join the committee. Can I send this to the committee, or is not allowed? The planning commission, I mean. Can I send a document like this? Can I send a document like this, which is an analysis of what the possible stakeholders would be? It basically shows that 18 of the are non-residents, 10 are residents. I think that's important for decision making. How do I communicate this to the planning commission?
These are people that you're recommending for the committee?
No, the charge was, look at the sheet that...
This is the data from the survey that was done in 2022, I believe.
And I analyzed the data and I came up with, I did it two different ways. I did it that way, and then I also looked at the plan and said, are there stakeholders here to choose from? How do I communicate this to the planning commission? It never got on the agenda.
No, to the committee, you mean?
Committee.
I would say send them to Jeff as the chair of the committee. Would you agree with that?
But I think we couldn't send, I have comments in here. It gives my opinion.
No, you're no longer on the committee.
Okay, so I can, as long as I'm not on the committee, have an opinion.
No.
Okay,
If you're not on the committee, you can have an opinion.
okay, because I do state in here that I believe a wastewater treatment system that treats 64%
The question
in
is,
Belmont Village of
I'm
non-residents.
just going to say one more thing. It has nothing to do with opinions. It has to do with what constitutes a meeting. And if you are not on the committee, you are not part of a meeting. So you can communicate outside of a meeting with the chair of the committee if you're not on the committee.
Okay.
So does that sound right to you, Faith?
I believe you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I communicate with the planning commission?
No. You can't express an opinion.
Okay.
You can share information.
You're having that opportunity now.
Well, I didn't get on the agenda. I could ask to be on the agenda next month, but it's up to you whether
The issues relating to the
Well,
charge of the committee, it's my hope that the committee will take that up, right? So
I had one other agenda, which I won't go through, just to let you know that I'd asked for a continuation of the discussion about this housing assessment. And I did a lot of analysis of the housing assessment because we had it on the agenda last month, but we didn't really have a lot of opportunity to go through it. Can I submit an analysis of my analysis of the housing assessment to the planning commission?
To me, I think the proper procedure is, now that you're no longer on the committee, or to Jeff, the committee can report to the planning commission.
This is not relevant to the... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
this is not relevant to the committee. This analysis is of the assessment and all of the options in the assessment. The Belmont Village wastewater only being a part of this. So this is really not addressing the committee. It's addressing what was an agenda item of the Planning Commission last month, which I would like the Planning Commission to see.
I didn't understand what you were suggesting there.
I think what Ron would like to do is bring up what was discussed last month again based on an analysis he's done, and send an email with that analysis to the Planning Commission members. I think based on what John said is he can say what his analysis shows without stating an opinion
I didn't
as to
comment
what
on
he
this
thinks the information means.
I only commented about the previous. Ron is saying that this is not the same point he's made about information for the committee. This is a separate matter, right?
Correct.
That's how I've heard you.
Yes.
So yeah, that's not. I didn't say anything yet about this.
Well, no, he's asking if he can, if I'm
you
probably, if he could send it to the Planning Commission. And I said, as long as it's analysis and not, and whatever he writes would be based on, this is what the report, or this is what my analysis shows, without stating an opinion, and he can.
No, I don't think that. I mean, yeah.
That'd
I
be
think
more
I
knowledge.
agree with what you're saying. So, is this relating to the content of the? I mean, so we know that the report is done.
Right.
This is about how we implement the action
it's
plan.
It's about the action plan.
Okay, so it's about implementation of the action plan.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that is certainly something that we can consider at a future meeting. We have this report. It is a part of our task. It's the select board's responsibility, but it's part of our task to assist them in implementing that action plan. We could think about how we want to prioritize that going forward. There's a lot of things in there. Many of them will take many years. That is something that will be sort of I think an ongoing concern for us. Are there things that you're proposing to discuss next month, like that are concrete action items, or?
I'll give you one. I think the committee looking at a wastewater, a municipal wastewater system should not be limited to Belmont. As a matter of fact, that was even a red flag at the select board meeting. How many people said, why just Belmont? Why don't they pay for their own? They didn't understand, right? But all of a sudden it was a red flag. If we're going to have an analysis, why don't we look at wherever we could put a community?
Yeah, there's good reasons for that, though, which we've addressed, and I've very briefly mentioned them now. I mean, if we want to do one, for example, for School Street, we will need the planning due diligence to do that ahead of it. So there's a very long arc with planning projects, unfortunately. Many years of sort of due diligence in preparing the ground. We have an extraordinarily long record justifying the work in Belmont. We have literally none for this municipal area yet. I think Jeff, I didn't review the detail, every second of the video for the last select board meeting, but I think Jeff even mentioned, that's something that he's considering for, the next couple of years, is whether we have similar planning efforts done here. For example, we did a planning grant for Belmont. We didn't do one for here, and I think we could. And once we have that, we have a pretty strong justification for it.
I'm thinking, just an example. What about forget planning grants? What about finding? I listened to the CHIP seminar and learned a little bit about CHIP. Sounds like it's important and good. What about finding a developer who wants to buy 10 acres of land somewhere in our town and put up a cluster of affordable housing. I don't, we need to study that, or should we just perhaps put that on a list of things we could pursue? That's my point, is we're there are other ways to go about this.
Right, it's not zero sum, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's not, but we can do the things we can do now. I think we ought to.
Okay. Can I send things to the Chit Chat? Can I send letters to the Chit Chat of anything, of things that I think are important?
Things that are before the commission?
No, I would, nothing that's, well, everything's public. What am I saying? Everything before the commission is public. But no, this would be an analysis of the assessment, an analysis of the housing assessment, and how I see it.
As a citizen, you can do it, in my opinion, as long as you don't get mixed up as being a
As
member.
long as you don't quote it as being the opinion of the planning commission.
Right.
Or you being a member of the planning commission.
Since I couldn't get on the agenda, I'm looking for ways to put this information out, right? I couldn't get on the agenda with these. So I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but what are the options? Come back next month and try to do what there's a lot, I'm gonna write it up and I can't mail it to you. You understand the dilemma? That if you're you don't?
No.
Okay, so no one else can have an opinion about the assessment, the opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities that we could pursue in
I
wastewater.
think I did say that that's certainly something that we would want to consider going forward, is how to implement the action plan.
Right, and what are the best alternatives for that, right? Would a Belmont wastewater system be the best, or would be a individual
Well,
developer?
that's a zero sum analysis that I don't agree with. I don't think
it's not zero
I
sum.
don't think it's a mutually exclusive. I don't think that
It is if we only going to have one committee and one pursuit of it.
No, I don't think that's true at all.
Okay, so I could suggest another committee. Okay, I'm not sure we're getting anywhere with this, but you can understand.
If you have concrete ideas to do other,
I do, but I couldn't present them. I spent a lot of time on this.
So,
Spent a lot of time. My wife says, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's important."
we all do a lot of work for
Yes,
this
you do,
town.
John. You work hard. I always said that about you. Absolutely do, John. Okay, I'm trying to understand how to communicate, especially now that I know I can't even get on the agenda. My items don't necessarily get on the agenda. It's an interesting issue. Okay.
Do you want something on next month's agenda to present concrete ideas for how to implement the housing action plan?
I would like to present ideas about what the alternatives are and
Okay.
the benefits of different approaches.
When you characterize it as something that is necessarily an alternative to what we are going forward with, does it need to be characterized that way? Or is that sort of like, either we listen to you and stop doing the Belmont thing, or else I will go out public against the commission? Like, does that, I don't know if that's necessarily
I'm doing the opposite,
constructive.
John. Unless we listen to you, we just follow what you just decided.
I don't think that's true.
Well,
I think the committee can decide how to go about this project. I'm at the moment not on it.
No, what I meant is you decided that we were going to have a committee. So you put us down that path. There are all the options that were you decided on that one. Unilaterally. You had the power to do that. You had the power to form
And
a
I
committee.
understand you don't agree with that and you don't want to participate, but I don't see where this discussion gets us, because there are a lot of people that think that we should at least determine whether or not this is a good thing to do. It may be the result that we don't do anything with wastewater in Belmont, but everything I've heard over the last year, including the Planning Commission not doing enough for the store, suggests otherwise. suggests that at least we need to do the due diligence to determine whether there is capacity, need, feasibility, etc., before throwing up our hands. And I think that's responsible governance. When you have the information, you can make the determination. When you have the facts. I don't want to be the one doing all of that myself. I think we need to employ and engage stakeholders. That's what we were asked. I mean, very, very clearly during the Belmont Plan planning process. I think there was a very strong, voice from the community that this is something that we should at least look into. And we have that opportunity, and we have lots of, part of our task is not even discretionary. The select board has said what the goals of the town are through the town plan, and we're supposed to implement them, or at least attempt to. And I don't think that characterizing this is like I have absolutely nothing at stake with this. I mean, I don't do any of this stuff because it benefits me. So I just don't think that's fair.
I didn't say it benefited you.
I really don't have any horse in this race.
Can we just put it on next month's agenda that Ron can present his analysis of the
alternatives or
his analysis
of the action
with potential alternatives to the housing assessment plan? Just put that on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we can. We can talk about other opportunities available to us.
Might be interesting to hear.
It might be interesting to hear, and I would hope that it's not presented as here's what we should do instead, but what we could do in addition.
No.
That's what I'm just saying.
What I'm hearing is he's presenting different alternatives based on his analysis. We don't have to agree with his analysis
Fair.
or his alternatives,
But when you
but we
present,
need to hear it.
when you hear alternatives, you usually try to choose the better of them. That's part of what the analysis. It's a SWOT analysis, a pro and con analysis. So, all right. What about the other agenda item of changing the rules and procedures that the chairman should not have sole authority to constitute committees? I wanted that.
That one's always been there.
I mean,
That one's been there since since before I was on the commission.
It's not in the VLCT though. John mentioned when you brought it up, Steve, he said it's in the VLCT. It's not that I could find. So the fact that it's been there for a while, we might not have this issue right now if we had discussed the possible directions to take this, but. Okay.
Yeah, we regularly revise the rules of procedure before our annual meeting or during. We readopt them, potentially revise them.
We got a couple of things we got to revise.
I don't see doing any more committees. This is not worth it to me, so make any more committees.
I got tagged on a committee years ago, and it was just you and you were on a committee.
Yeah, that's not how a commission should function in my mind. We're a group of 5 people who should be making mutual decisions.
I mean, almost every town has exactly the same language. In fact, even consulting with the LCT today, you don't even really need the explicit language. We put the explicit language in there, and that's part of why it's not in the model bylaws, or the model rules, because it's assumed. So it's just how it's usually done. We made an effort to make everything as explicit as possible, to make it as clear as possible, with the hope of avoiding misunderstandings. But we seem to find them anyway. What's that?
Oh, misunderstandings?
Yeah, well, the intention was there to avoid misunderstandings.
Create one.
But it's very common, and it's not at all unusual. And part of the reason for that is it's an exercise of the discretion to find more information. So, yeah, I mean, it's
That's
like...
fine. I just was curious that it wasn't in the VLCT.
Yeah, part of because they didn't think... There's a lot that they didn't put in there. This is exactly what they told me. Because they don't think it's necessary. It's within the discretion of the chair to run the meetings, etc. But we put the things in there that are very specific, like I said, very specifically for avoiding misunderstandings or assumptions. I think assumptions can be challenging because people have different assumptions. So that's why we try to make everything as explicit as possible. If the board wants to change it to requiring a majority vote for establishing committees in November.
Steve presented that. That's why he did bring that up, and it was not voted down.
No, those rules were adopted unanimously.
No, I'm saying he put it up while the rules were being adopted, and he objected to it. Right.
But it's irrelevant because the rules were.
No, I'm just saying there was someone else who had the opinion. I'm not alone on the opinion. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
We'll do the best we can. That's all I can say. So that's how we decided to do it, and that's how we did it. So, is there anything else? Okay.
Yeah. When's the next meeting?
Well, we're going to have to meet to deliberate again, I think, or we can do it on email maybe. Is that email okay?
Deliberating on.
Well, I need to try to get a draft out because we're getting there now. It was April 1st, so yeah, we're within our first month at least.
Which one are we deliberating on?
Gilbert.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not submitted. Gilbert. Oh, I'm sorry, Gilbert. We didn't finish Gilbert? I'm confused. Gilbert was the triangle at Stray Road and Maple Hill Road, right? Did we do that one already?
I didn't write a decision yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. We had the hearing.
We had a hearing and we need a decision. So I'm talking about if we need to meet in person for deliberation now because we're looking at next meetings. I don't know. You may not be able to tell me if we need a deliberation until I get a draft out, but I think we got most of the way there last time. I think we're all in agreement.
It's just a matter of telling them to go ahead.
Well, we're on the record. We're still being recorded, so I just want to not discuss the merits, but whether or not we need another deliberation. I think in person. I think probably I would suggest that I try to get my decision to you, or draft decision. You look it over, and then see if we need to meet.
That makes sense.
Because I think, without talking about the merits, I think we were all on the same page with everything I heard. And it is fairly straightforward, I think.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's go with that. I think we're all probably going to be meetinged out after tonight. Let's go for the regular meeting at the 19th, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be the same day as the regional hearing, so we'll miss that. Oh boy. That seems fine to me. Anything else we need to discuss tonight? Please say no. No? All right. Then the meeting is adjourned at 9:30.